voting for what William Ruto wants. They were voting for what they believe in because they are part and parcel of our manifesto. And we have told these as mere characters. You cannot beat us. How? We have the numbers, you don't have the numbers. We have the ideas, you have no ideas. We have a plan, you had no plan. Sasa, what we gonna plan na watu ya kuweka sufuria kwa kichwa, is there any comparison? There isn't.
Gachagua further promised Kenyans that the money they'll be taxed will be accounted for and put into good use.
Sasa watu iko na plan na watu ya kuweka sufuria kwa kichwa, is there any comparison? There isn't. So I really want to salute our members of the National Assembly. The President and I are very proud of you, and we want to assure you that those funds that you have recommended we collect from the people of Kenya, they will be used prudently for the benefit of the people of this great country.
Former President Barack Obama has warned that democratic institutions in the United States and around the world have grown creaky. Speaking during an exclusive CNN interview, he said that it remains incumbent on African leaders to find ways to sustain them into the future.
I think it is indisputable that a combination of forces have put enormous strains on democracy, and that we've seen a backlash against democratic ideals around the world. It's not unique to any one place. It's happened in Europe, it's happened in the United States, it's happened in this part of the world. The reason I'm optimistic is because I believe, particularly as I meet young people around the world, there is still a fundamental belief in the dignity and worth of individuals and their agency in determining what their lives are like. I think that's what young people want.
He also spoke on his successor Donald Trump, saying that the federal indictment is evidence that the rule of law still reigns in the United States.
The fact that we have a former president who is having to answer to charges brought by prosecutors does uphold the basic notion that nobody's above the law. And the allegations will now be sorted out through a court process. I think I'm more concerned when it comes to the United States with the fact that not just one particular individual is being accused of undermining existing laws, but that more broadly we've seen, whether it's through the gerrymandering of districts, whether it's trying to silence critics through changes in legislative process, there is a less tolerance for ideas that don't suit us.
And finally, police are investigating an incident whereby a 71-year-old woman who had been missing in a village in Nyandarua was found murdered and her body put inside a sack with a huge stone. The body of Lucy Muthoni was found in Kisumu River nearly a week after she had been reported missing. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes?
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom? I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives a real situation in the situation room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthak, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. People hiding here and there, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say.
cannot pickpocket a naked man. How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed. And as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
Hapo. You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, hawa watu wamenirusha.
87.9 Spice FM, Mombasa.
Good morning. Welcome to Friday at the tail end of this week. And what do the roads look like? Not bad. We're looking at outskirts of Nairobi, and the fog is quite heavy, really misty. So if you're heading in the direction of Limuru this morning, out then towards Naivasha, you want to have your fog lights on and go as slow as possible so that we don't have any issues. As the sun comes up, we'll probably see that mist also rising, so we should be fine. But for now, it's pretty heavy, and we have to watch out for that. Okay, coming in from the Thika Superhighway doesn't look too bad. We're likely to see a lot of outbound traffic today as we're getting into the weekend. On Gong Road doesn't look bad either. Starting this Friday morning off right, it would appear. Let's keep an eye on things as we go through the morning on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start.
It's Friday. Happy Friday. Ndu?
Yes.
So this is the second last Friday of the month, huh? So you said the end month is on a Friday?
No, it's next Friday. It's the 30th is Friday.
That's what I'm saying.
How?
This is the second last Friday.
Oh, voila, yes.
What else would that mean?
I wasn't quite... sorry, I hadn't really put it together. Thank you. I'm here now.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana. Karibu sana. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes. Did you get enough sleep?
No.
Are you still what you eat for supper? Because that's what you were last 2 years ago.
You are actually. You still are. Yeah. All of us are what we eat. What did I eat for supper?
What time is your supper? Depends.
I was going to say that because my supper is a lot earlier than most of your suppers.
What did you have for supper yesterday?
Chicken and rice.
Chicken and rice.
But I had my supper at 3 o'clock.
No, you did not.
So you haven't had anything else since
3 p.m.? Then you had breakfast this morning at like 3 a.m.?
Yes, like around there, yes.
You probably ate ugali for breakfast?
No, same
You had chicken and rice this morning?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
See, I left some for this morning. Yes, just warm.
So like you have your supper at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. thereabouts,
I'm done.
and then you go do your exercise, whatever later, and then you have a fruit or something.
I drink tea and maybe have some nuts.
Okay.
As nuts as in...
I get it.
Yes.
Macadamia and peanuts.
Let's start with the peanuts.
So that's what is your supper.
Macadamia is bougie.
China and njugu.
Oh, macadamia is bougie.
This is macadamia.
China and njugu. That is what you are. Sawa?
Yes.
This is what you are.
That was dinner. China and jugu.
No, it's not every day.
Or korosho. Korosho is not bougie.
Njugu.
Peanut.
Peanuts.
Otherwise known as a groundnut.
Sour. That's so interesting. So you know the groundnuts that you see, the roasted ones, right? They've come out of the shell already. Okay. So now the ones that they're still in the shell and you boil them, right? Steam them and then you crack them.
By the
open
way,
and
it's
eat
even
them.
better if you boil them in salted water.
Fantastic. So I was it was so funny because for me they're all over they're all over Nigeria. Here you don't see them as much. You see the other form whereby they've been roasted, they've been deshelled, right? So I was asking somebody to buy the shell, the one still in the shell for me. Fella had no idea what I was talking about. I said, the one still in the shell that you boiled. He said, Sasa nitasema ni nini nataka kununua. I said, jugu. He said, no. Jugu ni
Still in the shell means what, by the way? Ebu now explain again. In the pod?
Yes. So in the pod, you boil them and you can crack and then eat them.
Boiled.
Is it not?
Yes.
Yes.
And you boil them in salted water.
Exactly. And then after you steam them after a while, you bring them out and then you can...
So you're eating boiled njugu?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, it's very tasty.
Oh, come on.
It's very tasty.
It took me like 15 minutes to convince him that the one in the pod is the pre-version of the roasted one. That is...
They actually, I find them extremely pleasant.
He could not understand. He could not reconcile the two.
Why are you having difficulties?
He said the one in the pod...
Njugu boiro, what is boiro?
He said the one in the pod is not groundnut. Madam, you see... You said what? You see njugu.
There's a place called Luanda. Luanda? That is, of course, now Kakamega Road. Is it Kakamega
Maseno
Road?
there.
Maseno there. Okay? On the other side. Not Kakamega, it's Busia Road. Yes, because I was trying to think where. That's where I know they sell boiled groundnuts. I know because...
And they boil them in the husk.
Yes, it comes with the pod.
Yes. Now, you see that jugu karanga they're talking about? From the pod, it is dried, and then it is removed from the pod. You get jugu karanga.
No, I know the whole njugu from crop.
Now people can't understand this one when you go say buy me that one.
I like it when they are roasted.
Have you ever tried the other one?
Why do I want to eat njugu boiro?
No, have you ever tried it?
Why do I want to eat njugu boiro?
Sisi is annoyed with you, he has gone.
He's going to Luanda to bring us njugu.
So you can understand.
Ameenda Luanda. Aye, sawa. I've just seen a meme here. Husbands are the best people to share your secrets with. They'll never tell anyone because they aren't even listening.
I agree.
You know? It's a moment to just sit back, sit down, rant, rave, unwind. Wacha itoke yote, wacha itoke kwa roho yote.
Not listening, so nobody will be told.
We are live streaming the show, but as we do that, as I tell you about live streaming the show and where we are live streaming it on YouTube and Facebook, let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. It's Friday. We must have a Health Friday conversation, and we will have it. The state of health in Nairobi City County, that will be our conversation. Chief Officer for Health Facilities in Nairobi County, Geoffrey Mosiria, will be joining us at 9 a.m. At 8 a.m., we'll have another health conversation, embracing AI technologies in healthcare. Sam Macau is the co-chair, Coalition for Health Research and Development, and Henry Okoh is Monitoring and Evaluation and Research Officer and the Data Protection Officer at the APHRC. Remember APHRC? Health research and Africa, public health, Africa, public health research,
and there's Africa inside.
That one. So they will be joining us at 8 a.m. At 7 o'clock, let's talk about MCRs. MCRs want a higher pay. The SRC comes and tells them, okay, people, we have sorted you out. Iko kitu kidogo hapa naweza wapatia. MCs have said, what on earth is that?
Who are you telling?
Tuangalie ukaona sisi kwa we. Anyway, there are two factions of MCAs now. There is the County Assemblies Forum that brings together speakers of the county assemblies and members of the county assembly. And there is now a new faction of MCAs. Robert Alai is in that new faction. He's the MCA for Kileleshwa Ward in Nairobi. Philemon Sabule is the chair of the County Assemblies Forum and speaker of Elgeyo Marakwet County. Those two gentlemen will be with us at 7 a.m. Let's seek to understand. Okay. Shida iko wapi?
Nini mbaya?
Pesa itatoka wapi? Na umeona hata taxi imepanda.
Tunatafuta na Mungu nataka tukuwaongezea hatuna.
18 minutes after 6. Are you online? Let us know where you're tuned in from. Say hello to us and tell us where you are. We will do the shout out shortly after we take a look at the weather forecasts.
Upata njugu.
I have a brother. He was a pilot. He was laid off. He came to a policeman. He messed up.
He went from a pilot to a policeman.
Exactly.
He stole a jet.
Yeah.
In fact, you should be lucky he was not court-martialed.
The Spice Drive. Big hair and the biggest hits from the best decade.
Indeed, it's all about hashtag Spice Drive, hashtag Quatch KWACH. 3 to 7 in the PM.
The Spice Drive, only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Damn. Cloudy this morning at 15 in Nairobi, highs of 20 and lows of 14. 24 will be the high in a cloudy in Nakuru at 15, and we'll see highs of 21 in Nyeri where it's cloudy at 15. Partly cloudy conditions in Eldoret at 14, highs of 22 and lows of 13. It's cloudy at 23 in Mombasa, highs of 28 and highs of 28 as well in a partly cloudy Malindi at 25. It's cloudy at 20 in Kisumu, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 26 in Kakamega where it's cloudy at 16. 19 and partly cloudy in Kampala, highs of 25 and highs of 29 in a partly cloudy Dar es Salaam at 23. It's 6 degrees and partly cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 17, and we'll see highs of 29 in a partly cloudy Lagos at 26. It's 22 and mostly cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 29. Friday afternoon in Beijing is sunny at 35. It will go to highs of 39 and lows of 26. 13 and cloudy in Paris this morning, highs of 28, and the clouds are also thick in London at 18. Going to highs of 27 through Friday. Thursday night is mostly cloudy at 20 in New York. That'll be the high coming into Friday with lows of 19.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Tell us who's online.
Good morning. Kihara constituency, Wangu Ward specifically, is where Johanna Michael Wagenya. Okay, I'm going to go even further. Wangu Ward, Wajengi village. He says it's cloudy, misty, and foggy all at once.
Everything combined.
Mm-hmm. But however, he's still listening
and
says good morning. Good morning, all. Muga's eating schedule must be a good one. I need that. Listening in from Kampala. It's Opige. Yeah. Dinner at 3. Breakfast at 3. Stuff of the champions. Raphael is tuned in from Narrow Moro. And he says, Mko fresh barida. It says baridi.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, the trio.
Fresh barida.
Tuned in listening from Westlands, that's Valentino K and says good morning this morning. Okay, Edward Munio says good morning. Spice tuned in, rise and shine. Rose Grace is tuned in from Siaya Kababa. Good morning to all of you, blessed Friday. Good morning Ndu City and Eric Nicolok from Manchester. That's George Gashoyiri. James Mwangi says good morning. Another day to sit back and enjoy what the team presents. Asante sana, karibu sana. Monis Jane is tuned in from Singapore. I tell you, Jane, the number of times Singapore has been mentioned in this country in the last 1 month. Steve Orango says, arise and shine, another beautiful morning to thank God for the gift of life. Indeed. Abu Dhabi, Friday greetings to the Spice FM crew from Sophia Damery, and blessed Friday to you. Good morning, people, says Segesha. Good morning, Ndusiti and Eric, according to Smart Guy. He says we need to have a discussion about TikTok. Do you know TikTok?
Yes.
He says we need to have...
It's an app.
We need to have a discussion about TikTok.
About TikTok.
What about it?
And its effect on young generation, especially high school and college. No, I think college is what you're looking for. Kids, regulations are required. Okay.
Wanashinda TikTok.
Nikama. Steve Orango is tuned in this morning from Wisconsin. He says it's 11:07 p.m. And he says, to be honest, we need to pray for our leaders. They need it more than anything else. Probably true. Alex Matingo is tuning from Tanzania. And good morning, dear brother and sister. Okay. Good morning, lady and gents. It's Good Friday, live for Friday. Leonard Kamau is tuned in. Good morning, Eric CT and Ndu. 46 took a locked in. Semeni Kimeumana. Everything isn't screwed up yet, but sometimes it is the hope that will kill us. Looking forward to hear from you guys. Just wow. I know, man.
Stay positive, Bwana. Stay positive.
Good morning from
Dallas. It's only tax.
It's only tax, eh? Good morning from Dallas, Texas. And that is Nani. Where did they go?
From Dallas, Texas.
They've disappeared. Okay, so many more people have just jumped online
MC
just
Jaffe.
now. Excuse me.
It's not MC Jaffe.
It's not.
Okay.
George Salano says, even Latiff is shocked. How do you not know boiled groundnuts in the pod? Surely. Good morning, Wakenya. Chris Morris says, Elkanah is tuned in. Jambo Kenya, welcome to the weekend. Good morning from Tuda, Mombasa. Mr. Eric, try you on Jugu Boiro. You like it. You see? Chris also said the boiled groundnuts are nice. Boiled before they are dried. There you go. Bishop says, Nabi, a.k.a. Zakayo. It's all right. Nisa. Many more people online this morning. Sabak here, what about roasted ones in their pods? Yes, it's true. They're very nice. And Hassan is tuned in from Alexandria in Egypt. Now, imagine, there are those ones that are boiled. Then there are those ones that remain in the pod and they're roasted. Crunchy, very nice. You just crack open the pod. You see in those movies where somebody's sitting at the bar and they're cracking open groundnuts. Now it's those ones that have been roasted in the pod. Ask me how I know. Okay, everybody tune in this morning. We see you guys. Berlin, Orianenburg, the Kenyan Embassy in Tehran, everybody from Gong to Adelaide in South Australia. Thanks for joining us this morning. Karibuni sana.
Alrighty. City?
Yes.
Final proverb from Kenya.
Yes, this is our last visit.
To Kenya?
Yes, for this week. But those of us who live here, you can't visit where you live. You're already there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to decide. Okay. Good fortune doesn't hear the roar of a lion.
Good fortune doesn't hear the roar of a lion.
So you're lucky not to hear one, essentially. If you hear one, it means some imminent danger.
Well, it's not as though it shouts when it's coming.
No.
The manifestations of it is what makes you realize, so this is good fortune. Because it isn't something you can shout when it arrives at your doorstep, but it's not something that's good. It doesn't give you warning signs that I'm on my way. I'll be with you shortly. Not really.
Maybe.
Clouds.
Maybe at 8:30
maybe
like
later,
this.
But for now,
for now.
in the clouds.
Come on, Jugu Boiro too.
Let me tell you, Kajuango Perez is asking how we pronounce the word indictment. INDICTMENT. The C is silent.
How do you pronounce it?
Indictment.
Which word?
Indictment.
Headlines.
So, cities, you do like that.
Right. Today, Which people would you like?
The Nationale.
The Nation.
No, the Nation hadn't arrived yet.
All right. Maybe the boys and girls
Business
down
Daily.
are doing
Business
something.
Daily hadn't arrived yet.
All right.
But I have the Star.
Very
Wonderful.
good.
You will tell us what's in the Star.
I also have the East African.
Oh, wow. Even
I
on a
have
Friday.
the Nairobian.
Bas, we're doing well, and you have the Standard.
I have the Standard.
Okay.
So let's do this.
On your marks.
Hustler's pain. I've already left before the gun has gone. Hustler's pain begins with the finance bill set to be signed into law by President Ruto. Kenyans are bracing themselves for full impact of approximately 12 shillings a litre rise in the cost of fuel, which will push up cost of transport, production and essential commodities, even as salaried workers are hit by the housing tax. We'll look at those numbers, but it looks like the time for crying for me, Argentina, is here. Confusion rocks schools as learners sent home early. It is midterm week. Midterm was actually supposed to start on Monday. Okay, so Monday after school is when everybody was supposed to go home for 3 days and come back the following Monday. But folks are going home today.
Why?
Yeah, we'll look into that story and tell you why.
Okay.
All right. Odwell was before the Senate yesterday, and he said that Siaya MPs bribed. They came together bribing themselves or were bribed by somebody to finish him. We're going to look at this story of the unfortunate incident of this submarine, the Titan submarine, that is said to have imploded yesterday. We'll look at that story as well, but it's a really sad one in terms of what has happened. There's a story of one of my favorite authors, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Don't cry for me, he says. Cry for my country. And there's a full article on some of the followings that have been made on his current situation.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay, the Nairobian. It's Friday, it's the Nairobian's day. It's out there, nothing stays hidden. 80 bob, get yourself a copy from wherever. So, headline number 1. Why MP kicked out CS Bore from 120 million shilling house? The rich also cry. The tussle between Wakili Mureo and CS Bore shows how property owners in posh city suburbs are not just sitting pretty. Hiya, other headline, exclusive. DJ Evolve, I'm happy to see a new day. And then there's other smaller headlines. Shock as a renowned radio fan fakes his mother's death.
What?
There's a fan of, a shabik of a vernacular radio station. So he's known by many people who listen to this station because he's one of the big fans of the show and calls,
Yeah.
And then one time he calls and says, you know what, guys, I've lost my mother. So, of course, the entire community now gathers around him. Forms a WhatsApp group so, we can help our brother.
As it turns out.
Why text messages forced Justice Ruben Nyakundi to recuse himself from a case in Eldoret. I'll tell you about that as well. Long drunken walk to Kawangware. Closure of Nairobi State House bar leaves thirsty residents thronging slums. ICT. Your neighborhood bar is closed.
You guys.
Which bar is this?
State House.
I wasn't aware there was one. Sincerely, I wasn't aware there was one.
So you thought those drinks that you were having were just...
No. They are cultural establishments that are near my official residence. Okay?
That's such a Muga thing to say.
Okay? Yes. But there is a fuel selling establishment called Total. Okay? And it is Total State House. That's what it's called. There is no bar there. On that entire stretch, there is no bar known as.
Is there a hole in the wall?
Bar. However, if there is a bar within the State House, because that State House is like a town.
There was.
It's like closed. A town. Just so that be knowing, it's like a town.
People now have to go to Kawangware to drink.
Kawangware isn't really far.
No.
Especially since most drinking takes place at night. There isn't much traffic.
Okay, sour, but...
Before you come in, let me just read an excerpt from that story. On April 20th, lawyer Donald Kipkorir said that the head of state told him he pulled down the bar after he asked for wine during a one-on-one meeting with Ruto at State House. So Donald Kipkorir had gone to, visit, Ruto. We reminisced of our friendship that goes back to 1992. I asked for a glass of wine and he told me he pulled down the bar. I was given delicious short ribs without wine. It was a humbling experience, meeting the president and repairing our friendship.
Was that a tweet message or something in the papers?
Yeah.
He tweeted it.
This tweet culture is an interesting one, isn't it?
It is.
So essentially, you get the impression that nothing is sacred.
No.
Like what?
Like what exactly?
Like meeting a friend.
No. The meeting a friend thing has just spurred this thought that it's like people have to talk about everything that they do.
Yes.
That life is a bit odd.
Don't like
Why do I want to talk about everything that I do?
Not everything. We just talked about meeting a friend.
Things which you think are important and things which...
After he left State House, he doesn't tell us where he went.
Whether he went to commiserate his not having a glass of wine,
or whether
somewhere
he was
else
given
where he
something.
couldn't have a glass of wine.
Or whether he's one of you who went to Kawangware.
Whether he went to Kawangware. I don't know. Tell us what's on the Star.
There is a story in the Siasa pull-out. Siasa used to come on Saturdays. These days comes on Fridays. So the Star publishes its last paper for the week on Friday. Nice big paper. And they say, why Jubilee's dream to emulate the Communist Party of China failed.
It failed?
Well, that's according... these are headlines. Please bear in mind headlines.
Okay.
But if you go to the Star, the paper, it says, betrayed hustlers, and there's a question mark. Ruto MPs, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now, this is an interesting story, and it takes many pages. Ruto MPs in the spotlight over tax laws. I believe what they're trying to point to is that these tax laws that were voted into this situation that we vote these things into have apparently, what is being insinuated, they have betrayed the hustler dream and the hustler narrative and the hustler prayer. But that we will see.
All right.
Because according to them, it will help the hustler. It could.
Okay.
How? We will see, won't we? All right, now this one should be of interest. This one is one of these things that you sort of like take a deep breath, then you read. Bill, the wealth of your dead spouse will be out of reach. That is if, now bang in the middle, why remarrying will be costly in proposed new law. Man, there are a number of new laws that are being proposed in this country. Widow or widow stands to lose right to own property of deceased spouse. Deceased, not diseased. Diseased means you're sick.
They could have been deceased because they were diseased. Okay, but then,
you stand to lose property of your deceased spouse. Because of why?
This is a bill that has been sponsored by Senator Veronica Maina and has been introduced to the Senate for the first reading. The principal objective of this bill is to amend the Law of Succession Act to eliminate discrimination. This one, I think I will tell you a little bit more about it.
That one, please do.
Okay?
Please do.
Right. So then there's clash looms as Azimio calls for big rally over taxes. Rally. Not demonstration. Rally. Rally. Okay? Chebukati name has earned me favors. That's the wife, according to this particular headline. And okay. I'm merely reading the headlines.
You go on.
Okay. Murder. Body of missing woman found dumped in a river. This is the body of a 71-year-old woman who went missing in the village in Nyandarua, and she was found murdered and her body inside a sack in a huge stone, which means she was
71-year-old.
Yep, her name was Lucy Muthoni Niema, and she was found in Kisumu River.
Oh my God!
Wow.
This mental health discussion, we actually cannot talk about it enough. It's not possible. 71, man.
Surely.
24 minutes to 7. Tell us about traffic.
Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, still looking at that foggy, misty situation as you're leaving Nairobi in a westerly direction. As you go out towards Limuru that general area. The fog is pretty low today, very misty, so you want to be very careful so that we avoid any kind of accidents whatsoever. All right, as you're coming into the Thika Superhighway, you shouldn't have much of an issue here at all. A little bit of movement as you're coming in from Muthaiga Square, but there's outbound traffic. We're getting into the weekend, so a lot of folks leaving the city, but around most parts of Nairobi, it looks pretty good. I don't even have anything to say, at least not for now. Jogo Road is what it looks like. It's the most busiest right now. A little bit of movement coming in from Gong Road and then into the city. Let's watch and see how that opens up later on. For now, Spice FM KE on Twitter. Talk to us there as we try to keep things moving this Friday.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Let me tell you about this submarine, because I know a lot of people are wondering what's going on. Okay, so here it is. After 4 days of the time with which oxygen within the submarine was supposed to have run out, the debris that people were seeing, that the initial search and rescue team was seeing on this as they come to some kind of surface level, then turned out to be that the only plausible issue here was that, or situation here, was that the submarine imploded. And on the impact of implosion, everybody who was aboard this submarine perished within seconds. They didn't even have time for the brain to reconcile with what was going on, and the death that occurred was instant for everybody here. This is all according to the US Coast Guard and some journalists who then reported thereafter. The US Coast Guard said there was a debris field and it was discovered by a remotely operated vehicle near the Titanic and within the research area for the missing submersible with 5 people aboard. Of those 5, 1 was father and son. 2 were father and son. Experts within the Unified Command are evaluating the information, the Coast Guard said. It was unclear if the debris field is connected to the missing submersible. The Coast Guard said it plans to host a press briefing at 3. Now that press briefing, by the time this paper went to press, the press briefing then was clear to us later that we saw probably at around 11 o'clock at night yesterday that they were able to confirm that doing an analysis, the debris was actually from the submersible. Okay? Solheim, who is one of the co-founders of Ocean Gate, which is now the owner of this submersible and the ones who essentially allowed or advertised for this expedition, as it were, said he is certain that the pilot Stockton Rush and the crew realized days ago that the best thing that they could do was to ensure their rescue was to extend the limits of those supplies by relaxing as much as possible. He firmly believes that at some point they knew that they were not going to make it. That at some point,
before they embarked on the journey.
No. When they were already down there and they saw that maybe things were not going well. It is difficult for them to know exactly what happened, but they would have known at some point that they were not making any headway and that things are thick. So they were probably trying to tell themselves, you know what? Let's relax as much as possible.
And they couldn't pull it up.
They couldn't. From what they're saying, that the pressure, the problem here was it was a pressure issue. So the pressure outside competing against the pressure inside the submersible was too much. And that is when the implosion was definitely going to happen. There was a 4-kilometer stretch between the surface of the water and where the Titanic wreckage is said to be. Where the submersible is said to have reached was about 1 kilometer. Sorry, not where it was supposed to have reached. 1 kilometer into that distance is where the sun would stop reaching the water. And below that was now pitch darkness. The wreckage of the Titanic is said to be 12,500 feet below the surface of the water. And it is clear from what they're saying that they actually did not reach the wreckage. They were not able to see whatever it is that they wanted to see. And if you're looking at the details of that in terms of what happened, 4 gentlemen, 4 businessmen, together with one of the co-founders of OceanGate, decided that they wanted to see the wreckage of the Titanic. It's one of the steps towards what people are calling adventure tourism.
Yeah.
They paid $250,000 a pop to go down, and unfortunately, they've not made it back up.
What? Okay. I wonder what that's going to do to, exploration. But maybe not much.
Well,
I don't think it is
those who are
deter
adventure
anybody from
people and explorers,
and wealthy
they know
enough to do it.
That's part of the
thrill.
Yeah, even those that are not wealthy. There are many people who actually just do those things, just hiking and going places in uncharted waters and
just to
to push the boundary a bit.
Consider, you would have assumed that seafaring enthusiasts would have had the interest somehow daunted with the sink of the Titanic. People may have paused for a while, but cruise ships...
They made a bigger one.
Yes, exactly. They make bigger ones, and people still cruise on those ships.
Yeah.
In fact, one forgets, but when COVID hit our beloved planet, you then heard of cruise ships that could not dock in certain places because, etc., etc., etc. So, human nature being what it is, there'll be a bit of a pause and a lull, a commiseration, sadness, because it is sad when you lose people.
But it's not going to stop. I mean, you will find that people are going to start looking as to the reasons why this failed, and
so
they're going to want to improve.
They will recover the
because
vessel.
these guys went down on Sunday. This is when they submerged. 1 hour 45 minutes after they submerged, they lost contact. They should have actually made it to the wreckage by Monday morning, right? They didn't hear from them. You can imagine they go down at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, they've lost contact. So things went wrong in that point. Folks right now are already trying to figure out what went wrong, so that in another few months you'll find somebody else is going down.
Someone has tried to make something even better and bigger. City.
Yes.
Now, that story that you told us earlier in the morning of what you had for dinner and breakfast. Victor Odhiambo is like, ati rice na chicken on the 22nd day of the month.
Yes.
This is Nairobi, kuna dwellers na residents.
Yeah. I did, yes.
Kuna dwellers, kuna residents. Chicken. Hey. What? Anyway, Oduol, the deputy governor of Siaya County, was in the Senate yesterday. In evidence presented to a Senate committee investigating his impeachment, the deputy governor revealed a series of payments made by the county executive to ward representatives, money that he believes is bribes for them to support his impeachment. He says the ward reps were and continue to be paid huge allowances of varying amounts. Not only is that a violation of the law, but it also demonstrates the assembly is in bed with the executive. He said the assembly is emasculated by the executive through the money they received, 7 million shillings to 8 million shillings every month. On Wednesday, Yimbo East's MCA Francis Otiato was at pains to explain the 70,000 shillings deposits made by the county executive into his bank account. Funds also disbursed to other MCAs. The county assembly is independent, interdependent, but autonomous when it comes to financial matters. That's what Oduol told the committee during cross-examination. The county assembly's lawyer, Willis Otieno, alluded to the point that the payments could have resulted from joint activities between, the executive and the county assembly are doing things together.
Like what exactly?
Oduol said each organ has their budget. The executive has its budget, as does the assembly. The joint statement is one that the assembly and the executive has used to defraud Siaya.
Whoa.
He highlighted alleged bribery as part of a larger scheme to eject him from office after he unearthed and went public about the multi-million shillings plunder that had taken root within the county executive. He said Governor James Orengo did nothing to stem the theft. Oduol laid bare multi-million shilling scandals that have dogged the county since August last year. Among them, one that saw some 176 million shillings withdrawn in the guise of financing pending bills for roadworks that were not approved. He said when he and Orengo got into office, they found pending bills worth about $1 billion, which was reviewed downwards to 818 million after audit. A pending bill worth 176 million was sneaked in through a cabinet meeting, and I protested until an audit was conducted. So this one, It's interesting. Is Odwal versus Orengo at the Senate?
The governor of Siaya may rue the day that they decided to go ahead with this impeachment.
To take this pattern.
Yes, because the one thing that is certain, a lot is going to come to the surface. Things which you would perhaps rather the light wasn't shone on. Yes, but now that we are where we are, it's going to happen. Unless they find an amicable way of... Can you withdraw an impeachment?
You can't.
Can you withdraw? No, you
Why it's gone right now?
Asking. Yes, you never know.
The county assembly cannot. The county assembly already made its decision. That decision was communicated by the speaker to the speaker of the
They
Senate.
can just decline to convict. That's it.
So
it's only the Senate now that can decide, you know what, Nah.
And you know something?
Okay.
This also puts the Senate on the spot. Yes. Because given just, you know how it is, this race has begun and you've seen the tempo that it has begun with. You're saying, okay.
Did you see Odol yesterday?
No, I didn't see him. Where did he come to the studio?
He had
At the
volumes
Senate.
of receipts, my friend. He was not joking. Nobody represented him. The man was with his numbers. He was
not, he had no lawyer.
No.
It was him.
Him.
County assembly had lawyer.
He was facing them mano el mano and said, Mimi, I'm just telling you the truth.
County assembly's lawyer is Willis Otieno.
Willis Otieno.
Piki Ponki.
Yeah, and then Manzo is representing in absentia James Orengo.
So, you know the
Which
optics.
Manzo? The senator.
Yes.
You know the option, I mean the optics rather here. It's like the governor and his people are the ones who have something to protect. So they've come with their lawyers. Yes.
Yeah. And this man is just,
just there
a whistleblower.
I'm just giving you information. And by the way, he did not, he was emotions on gay.
Yeah.
He was just telling them as it is. Oh, you're asking me this question? Hold on.
Let me show you.
In page 58.
Whoa.
Now, something there that you've just said that has piqued my interest.
Yes.
So a senator is taking up a legal matter representing one of the parties in an impeachment case.
Senate.
All right? What does that mean for the people of Makueni when it comes to voting on this particular matter?
I wonder.
I think there's a nominated senator who's from Makueni, but he's the head of the delegation.
Is it? Are you precluded?
Does it mean that Makueni is not going to vote on this particular issue?
But are you precluded from representing as legal if it comes before the Senate?
No, that I don't know. But I've seen members of parliament who are lawyers representing people
going to court.
I've seen them. Yes, so it means.
But in a case that comes before the Senate to
Surely.
make a decision, can you, as a senator, then stand as legal representation, even if you're not saying anything, even if you're just standing in that position?
It may not be illegal according to everything else with
But
the
it just
LSK
looks
Act
odd,
and all, but
doesn't
it's
it?
just it's not right.
Yeah.
It's simply that it's just not right, because you're there representing your people. When you cross over, when you take a side, your people
Then
have not
it's
taken a
clear.
side.
Yeah, your people haven't taken a side.
So you're not going to vote. So here clearly Manzo cannot vote on this particular matter. So what happens to that vote?
But also of interest, remember, prior to this, Orengo was a two-term senator, was he not?
He was.
He was.
So does it not look like the senators are already ganging up against Udua? The optics.
The way it looks, you know.
Yes, it's like they have predetermined how this thing should go. Now we are looking at the optics and we're looking at what's being presented. And clearly, Deputy Governor of Siaya, Odual, is prepared. Yes, he went there fully armed and ready. Now with every question they ask, this is the thing. Do these people want this story to continue? Because a lot is going to come out that people would rather they didn't
say yes.
And it's going to touch on because when you talk about receipts, expenditure, individuals and names will come out.
But this is the thing, and through those proceedings yesterday, I cannot count the number of times that Odual would mention the name of the governor, and the commission would ask him already. So maybe also leaning into what you were saying, they would say, "Do not mention the name of the governor because he is not present." But Odual would say, how can I not mention the name of the governor when a lot of these things that you people are accusing me of has everything
Touch on the
to do
governor.
with my direct
He's the head.
relationship with him.
He's the head of the executive anyway.
They kept telling him, do not mention his name.
Usilete Orengo hapa.
And he kept mentioning.
Yes.
This is going to get ugly.
Yeah. Tell us that story you are going to tell us.
I was telling you this story. It's one of these stories that you look at and you're thinking, according to our laws as we currently speak, the Succession Act, as we say, okay? Right now,
as we speak now.
The law only allows widows to lose the rights of inheritance if they remarry.
Yes.
Okay, right now. And Senator Veronica Maina is saying it's discriminatory. What she's doing is saying both widower should have an equal chance of not inheriting.
Okay.
In summary.
So the law only now speaks about a widow.
Yes, it's discriminating against women. Meaning
if man dies, wife should not remarry.
She can remarry, but if she remarries, she does not inherit.
Yes. But it's silent on the man.
Completely.
If wife dies.
Yes. So she is saying,
equalize.
Okay, don't touch that one. Just add this one.
Equalize.
If woman dies, man does not inherit.
Should he remarry?
Yeah. If that's the clause.
Can I ask you though?
Please ask
me.
If
you do not marry, if you do not remarry, you can inherit. Abi? Or no? This is saying if you remarry, you cannot inherit.
If you do not remarry, you can inherit.
So you can.
You're entitled to inheritance for as long as you do not remarry.
Remarry, okay.
As a widow.
Got it.
But there's also a clincher to this. Around this story of succession and men marrying other wives who tend to be younger wives, there's always been this story of when they marry, then all the hard-earned monies, all the assets that were accumulated by this couple over time is now being enjoyed by an interloper. We've read of cases where a man has been killed purportedly because the wife, sometimes with the children, plotted to kill him, etc., etc.
Yes.
And they're saying, okay. Now, so that we can even seal this other loophole as well, can we please balance this thing? Now, there are details of this particular act that goes into explaining, that's the general understanding, how it is you will ensure that this problem, this matter of remarrying, adding wives and what have you, should we say, favors the man and the woman equally. But I have a problem here, even as I was reading this.
Go on.
You know, people are still going to remarry. And many men have properties that their wives, children, families have no clue about.
That is it.
None whatsoever.
That is it.
Okay. Now, the understanding is that when they remarry, they're supposed to enjoy this with the other person. Now,
Siti,
yes, please.
As you say that, do not forget that many women have property and wealth.
Husbands do not know about.
Hey.
Actually, I was going to say all women.
Yeah.
So then it's all sorted.
Yes. But you see,
it will not be considered matrimonial property.
No. The reason why I took that route.
That which is unknown.
Yeah, why I took that route, Eric, is for a simple reason.
Yes.
Rarely does one hear a case of a man who plotted to kill his wife over property. Rarely.
It's rare.
Very, very rare.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's rare. It's true. It's true. But the reverse is.
it's fair. Yes.
It's
the endangered species here is the man who chooses to remarry.
No, thank you for clarifying. Thank you for the man who chooses to remarry is the endangered species in this thing.
Yes.
Kabisa.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that many nominated legislators actually come up with bills.
I love it.
And I think nominated MPs and senators are the ones who actually do the work.
Does it not give you the impression that these people actually ought to have been elected because they seem to know?
Or they should stay like that.
Yes, they're kind of.
Or this is what we should do with our legislators. Don't this thing of pulling strings backwards, leave it. Look at this. This is Veronica Maina,
Yes.
nominated senator.
Yes.
There are other nominated senators. Gloria Oroba is pushing a campaign, right?
Yes. Yes.
Remember in the previous Senate, Sylvia Kasanga came up with a bill on mental health.
Yes.
All the way.
Karen
Nyamu has something
tabled a
on.
bill on digital just the other day.
Yep.
Going for first reading as well.
Yeah, nominated. And remember, when Sakaja was a nominated MP, that's when he came up with the bill that created the Employment Authority, it's called? Yeah, National Employment Authority.
Yes. Yeah.
When he was a nominated MP. Nominated legislators are the ones who actually push legislation.
Is that not an interesting point, Eric? I hadn't quite thought of it that way. So it tells us that the people whom we elect don't work. The ones whom we don't elect are the ones who work.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
Very.
Let me tell you a story before we go. There's this one I told you about. Shock and disbelief engulfed Kehoya village in Murang'a County after a man faked his mother's death to allegedly receive money from his unsuspecting friends. The guy is called Samuel Karaoke. His alias Mainawas Marco, a popular radio caller and a fan in vernacular stations, who on the 19th of May informed his fellow fans that his mother had passed away and he needed money to give her a decent send-off. This is what normally happens. So someone like that, I mean, he's a very popular guy, so people will always come and create a WhatsApp group. So people in various radio stations created various WhatsApp groups. Even the presenters would come out and say, hey, and please remember Mainawas Marco. We are, condoling with him because he lost his mom. Now, the burial ceremony was supposed to take place on 29th of May, a week after the supposed death. But trouble started a day before when he changed his story upon being asked to provide details on the arrangements. After calling him, he informed me that there was a family dispute that could derail and lead to postponement of the burial ceremony, saying it would be good if we sent him the money and he will sort things out. This one is a story being told by a lady called Geshiriri, who was one of the chairpersons in the WhatsApp groups. Another WhatsApp administrator, Nyabura Kamau, said after sensing mischievous game, they informed their colleagues to forge the way forward and decided they would go to his village to hear from Maina's family on what was going on. The last call we received from Maina was when he claimed his father, who had 3 wives, had refused to give his mother a graveyard. But when we insisted that he explains to us how we could help, he hung up on us because we refused to send money. So they went to the village. Okay, Nyambura, Geshiriri and other friends went to Kehoya village. After arriving at Maina's home, we were told that his mother was attending a casual labor job in the neighborhood, and we decided to go and see her for ourselves. She could not believe that they had gone to the extent of contributing money for her burial preparations, and that some of the radio presenters had bid her farewell on false information.
Come on, lucky me.
But the money they collected, they left it with her.
She called her son demanding to know what happened, and Maina claimed that he meant his girlfriend's mother. But he could not explain. I was saying my mother, even my girlfriend's mother is also, my mother.
Oh,
Brother alikuwa ameshikika mahali, eh?
Yani.
Something wasn't working.
Good morning, it's 7 a.m.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. President William Ruto has called for a new multilateral climate change action mechanism financed from global carbon taxes on fossil fuel, aviation, marine transport, among other transactions. Speaking during a roundtable on the Alliance for Green Infrastructure in the ongoing New Global Financing Pact Summit in Paris, France, Ruto said this will fund decarbonization, adaptation, and nature protection and regeneration. The president further pushed for the deployment of the proposed $500 billion a year in new lending to refinance maturing official debt into new long-term loans of 50-year-old maturity with a 10 to 20 years grace period. He also said they need a new tactic on how these debts will be paid off.
We are not saying that we continue to you have what the taxes France is paying, the taxes Kenya is paying in the current setup. Those are national issues. We need a financial transaction tax at a global level where even countries like Kenya pay. We do not want anything for free. We will pay more eventually because we have a bigger economy. We will pay commensurate to our economy. And we want those resources controlled not by IMF and World Bank. Because IMF and World Bank, you have the final say. We don't have no say. We want another organization of equals.
The fate of embattled Siaya Deputy Governor William Oduor will be known today. If the committee finds the allegations substantiated, Oduor will make history as the first deputy governor to be ousted from office. The motion will then be tabled for senators to take a vote in the plenary. If the committee finds the allegations unsubstantiated, then Oduor will survive the impeachment. The special Senate committee formed to investigate allegations into his impeachment will table its verdict. The 11-member committee scheduled sessions on Wednesday and Thursday where Oduor's accusers appeared and defended their decision to put him on trial. Denying one of the allegations of buying a chair that cost more than 1 million shillings, Oduor said the governor is responsible for the importation of all items in the county.
In my office is responsible, remotely or otherwise. They should be held 100% accountable. I was not involved in the procurement. I was not involved in the evaluation. I never saw the invoice. In fact, I always asked for the invoice. No one gave it to me.
45 more bodies exhumed from Shakahola Forest during the third phase of the exercise are yet to undergo autopsy. Government pathologist Johansson Oduor says so far, out of the 94 bodies, more than 19 were decomposed, making it hard for them to determine the cause of death. He added that they'd conducted autopsy on 22 bodies yesterday, of which 5 were females, and they were unable to determine the gender of 4 other bodies.
We've done a total of 22 autopsies. 13 of these were female, while 5 were male. 4 of them we were unable to determine the gender due to the level of deterioration of the bodies. The majority of the bodies we did autopsy on today were children, because we found 14 children. 7 were adults. 1 of them we were unable to determine the age because of the level of deterioration also. We are only able to determine starvation on 3, while 19 of them, because of the deterioration, we were unable to determine the cause of death because they had already decomposed.
The 7 comes as the post-mortem exercise enters day 3 today.
Between yesterday and today, we've done a total of 49 bodies. We have 45 remaining. The more the bodies stay out there, the more it becomes very, very difficult to determine cause of death. Because remember, these are bodies which have been buried without any form of preservation being done on them. So you find that the more they stay there, the more they decompose. As far as I know, the process is ongoing at the government chemist in form of people who have not gotten their relatives.
And in the international scene, campaigners have hailed a move by the Church of England to exclude all oil and gas majors from its investment portfolio because of climate concerns. The body that manages the Church's 10.3 billion euros endowment fund excluded 20 companies from its list of financial assets 2 years ago. It has now extended the ban to 11 more, including BP, ExxonMobil, Shell and Total Energies, after assessing that none was meeting the goals of the 2015 UN climate according to the Tackle Global Warning. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
All right, still dark in most parts this morning, even getting after 7 o'clock. Outbound traffic of Nairobi is going to be the thing today. Let's look at Naivasha Road. It's coming in towards Gong Road, and quite some of that traffic spilling over then into the city. This is James Gishoro getting out towards Waiakwe. That's pretty busy right about now. And we're seeing now heavy traffic on the Thika Superhighway coming into the CBD as well as on Kiambu Road this morning. All right, this is Outer Ring, pretty busy as you're trying to get towards the Thika Superhighway, and also in the other direction, traffic that's coming from North Airport Road has started to build up as well. Fog lights up, folks, today. You're going to need them. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter and keep things moving this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up,
7
not
minutes
down.
after 7. How are you?
This
Welcome
is the
to
Situation Room,
Kenya's
the only way to start
It's
your
Friday,
day.
the 23rd day of June 2023. Thank you for choosing us as your morning companion live on Spice FM, on KTN Home, and on YouTube and Facebook. If you miss any conversation, you can catch up with the conversations later. Just go to YouTube, search Spice FM, and you will find all the Situation Room conversations. Our next guests are here to talk about the plight of members of the County Assembly, or as the Constitution calls them, ward representatives. Hi, we have the chair of the County Assemblies Forum. He is also the Speaker of Elgeyo Marakwet County, Philemon Sabule, and he's here with Robert Alai, who is the member of the County Assembly representing Kileleshwa Ward in Nairobi. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Now, you're here because we want to talk about, what has been a conversation for the last couple of, years, but lately it has been also another big one. This is with regards to the salary of members of the County Assembly. There's been a push, there have been conversations. Yesterday, the Deputy President said something. He said, look, you knew the pay when you were applying for the job. Now, surely, you cannot get the job and start saying, oh, we want more pay. But you knew what the pay was. Why did you ask for the job? Anyway, we'll discuss that in detail. CT has the day's proverb.
Indeed, I do. Good fortune. What did I say the previous time? That good fortune did what again?
Good fortune doesn't hear the roar of a lion.
Doesn't like.
Or doesn't like.
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that's what I said.
Okay.
Good fortune doesn't like the roar of a lion.
Good fortune doesn't like the roar of a lion.
Yes.
Bwana Speaker, how do you interpret this proverb?
Well, this seems to look like a Nairobi one. We haven't had this in the villages. But good fortune and then the roar of a lion. Good fortune doesn't like the roar of a lion. That's a special one. Maybe CT should make it easier for us.
All right.
Cricket for you.
Okay, let me twist it then. All right. But
let's hear.
Mheshimiwa, what do you think?
It could be a Nairobi one. Let's hear.
And this is a Nairobian. Yes.
No, I think just like they say that you don't eat and shout. You might not be very comfortable, roaring and still being comfortable. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to interpret. Lakini City is always trying to give us mind twists every morning.
Has this man just called me a mind twister?
Yes. Do you confirm or deny?
I neither confirm nor deny. Yes. Well, okay.
Twist it.
Let's twist this proverb.
Yes.
Good fortune doesn't roar like a lion.
Doesn't roar like a lion.
Yes.
But initially it was doesn't like.
The roar. Yes. Yes. I've said let's twist it so that we can see. Doesn't roar like a lion.
Perhaps it's something not far from that deep waters are more still. And that good fortune is equally still. There is less noise, there's less roar, ulubalo when it comes to the fortune. There's stability and silence in fortune.
What do you think?
This is like the advice you give to the wash guys that utajiri ajui kelele.
Tulia. There's an interesting interpretation I've seen Antonio Ciro on YouTube. Just scroll down there and do. Umeipoteza.
Sorry.
Can you see it?
Juu tena. Hapo.
Hiyo, soma.
Good fortune doesn't hear the roar of a lion. The roar of a lion to a man signifies danger. The proverb can be interpreted to mean when you are having it good, you don't notice the impending bad thing.
And even with a twist, it's like when good fortune comes beckoning, don't flaunt it.
Correct.
Okay.
It's yours. The whole world doesn't have to know you have it.
Correct. Yeah, everybody doesn't have. Okay. All right. Honorable members, there's been a matter that has occupied both the County Assemblies Forum and the other faction of MCAs that is led by, among others, Robert Alai. This is a matter of pay and the welfare of the county assembly members. The last time we had the speaker here, we mentioned it a bit, and we also had the treasurer of the County Assemblies Forum who also talked about it. Is he treasurer or secretary?
I think secretary.
He's a secretary, yes, the MCA for Ngara Ward. Robert,
yes.
We haven't discussed this with you, but you are among the members who converged at KICC some weeks back, and you did not even want to hear a PS coming to visit and talk to you.
No, it was very hard work. It was not. It was something which we thought. We thought in a very hurried manner, and the incident of the PS being ejected from the meeting. The meeting is something which I didn't agree with. You saw me almost being manhandled when I told them that you cannot do this thing. The worst you could have done to the PS is to let us sit there, listen to you, at least leave out with a message or with a petition of what you are trying to say. But that's water under the bridge. Our plea, in fact, salary is the list of the demands of the MCAs, including the speakers who are also the MCAs, who are also MCAs. One of the biggest demands we are making is that can you please separate the accounts of the executive and the county assemblies? When Kenyans passed the 2010 constitution, we created 95 governments. But we thought we created 48 governments. We created 47 county governments and one national government. The national government, the county governments are also divided into speaker and the governor are almost equal strength. Speaker controlling the county assemblies, which are oversighting the executive, and the governor controlling the executive side, which is doing the daily management and the running of the counties. But we didn't separate the accounts. Today, if I sit in PAC or PIC or in the key oversight committees, and I'm very strict on the governor not to be, wasting government funds or looting or even letting others not, get us value for money, the governor will probably not sign even my salary because it's still the CEC Finance who still has to sign my salary every month. It's still the governor who is going to ensure that the allocation of the county assemblies is done. Some might argue that it cannot happen, but it happens. They'll just tell you that the controller budget has not signed for your benefits, your salaries, even for your retreats. You'll get that challenge with the governor. So why don't we separate these accounts from the exchequer? We say that this is allocation for the county assembly. The speaker would be would be accountable for it. This for the executive. The other thing is that the remuneration grades at the counties, can we have a special unit, and we can still have it within the Parliamentary Service Commission, ensuring that we have the grades harmonized. If you go and you're oversighting the executive where the CECs are earning 450,000 and you earn a salary of 86,000, you see, it is very easy to silence a good number of you.
Why?
They'll if 86,000 and you go and take a loan, you'll probably be going off with 20, 30,000.
Sawa.
Then these people with money, they are kings. because they control a huge budget. It's earning 450,000. It's controlling a huge budget, probably in transport, trade, markets, things like that. They'll be easily flaunting 50,000, 100,000, and those committees will do nothing.
To who? So you're saying that it will be easy for a member of the county assembly to be bribed?
Yes, because first,
on account of how much he's earning.
Yes, because you earn, and this is another argument. The other argument you're bringing, that let's not have one size fits all. Let's not all county assembly members of county assemblies earn the same salary, because some are in cities, some are in risky zones, some are in ASAL areas. Let's have a grade. Let's grade them according to what they have. If you give me rent for my office as a ward rep, 18,000 to pay in Kilelesho, I might not get a place to rent with that much. But if you give the same amount to somebody in Trans Nzoia, 3,000 shillings might be too much for them. So can we please grade these things? But if you give somebody again in Marsabit or parts of Mandera where there's a bit of ethnic clashes, you see, it is risky. You might have to give him or her more to be able to sustain the office. So we are arguing that, can we review the counties, per county, the same way the UN does, for their own staff and offices and say
hardship areas
Okay.
Yes.
We heard from the SRC
Speaker
before that, Mr. Speaker. We heard the reasons they were giving as to why this was not possible at the time. In fact, they removed quite a number of allowances across board, right? And they said that this is what we are going to be able to do for ward representatives. Or rather, according to you, was that a sufficient explanation that came from SRC in terms of how they were now, capping these payments?
Yes, we have had this engagement with SRC for quite some time now. And I remember in the month of December last year, that's when we came into office as County Assembly Forum. And one of the first thing that we did as a body is to have an engagement with SRC, because we also wanted to reason with them to know what is the basis of the current salaries of members of county assemblies. Why was there a reduction from 165 that was there in 2022 to now what is there to 86? That is being the basic salary. And they gave a number of reasons. But one thing that is clear, and which of course they have not been able to give an account of, is in any government, in any lawful environment, you can never reduce salaries of any cadres, even if they are coming in for a new term, because the argument is that this is a new term, it's a new office, it's a new contract. That's one. Two, when you look at the job grading of members of county assemblies, if you were to use the parameters that SRC normally uses for all other officers, be it public or even state officers, you will come to a very strong conclusion that there is no justification, either scientific or otherwise, that will bring a member of county assembly to 86,000 pay, given that the functions and the mandates of members of county assembly are the same as those of a member of National Assembly or Senate or women rep.
Okay, if I can jump in. So what it was is there was 165,000 shillings, which was the basic...
it was a gross.
165,000 shillings. SRC came in and they, applied their measures. It came down to 144,000 gross. So that is where now, after all deductions and whatever, that's how we get to 86,000. We also saw that what you're saying now, the member of county assembly essentially is akin to it connects with the governor the way the member of parliament connects with the president. In this way, the formula that they was given was that 43% essentially of what the president earns is what a member of parliament earns, and we're saying the same thing should be applied to member of county assembly against the governor.
Absolutely.
How does that formula make sense, or does it just happen to be?
Now, there's a number of ways in which we wanted to just find fairness in how the national government and the county governments, state officers are treated. In the national government, a member of National Assembly earns, actually it's 46% of what the president earned. And what we thought is that being a replica of the devolved units, then an MCA should earn 46% of what the governor earns. And that should have brought the salary of an MCA to around 350,000. And you look at this in this perspective, that the role that the president does at the national level is the same role that the governor does at the local level, because governor is the head of the government. He heads the executive. On the other hand, we have the county assembly, which is now the legislative house. What members of county assembly does, being legislative, being oversight and presentation, budget making processes, and all those other parliamentary duties are done at the county level. And what we wanted to propose to SRC is to look at it in that manner, as a manner of bringing equality and fairness in treatment of members of county assemblies at the county level.
There's something that comes to mind. I'm not clear, so I am seeking clarification. When matters of remuneration are discussed with SRC, we assume that when they lowered the gross, it was in response to what may be considered the reality of our economic situation. But is it possible to have discussions around two things? One, when the current economic situation gets better and the constraints we have are no longer there, is it possible to talk and agree on a certain amount that one can then be paid? My thoughts. Secondly, is it also possible to peg what it is? Because they'll say there is no money. Yes, but then counties have this unique thing, there's something called own source revenue. Is it also possible to consider that if the county assembly ensure through legislation and other means that the own source revenue of their respective counties gets to a certain level, that in so doing they should benefit directly from it, and whatever it is they earn should also be increased? I'm asking this because when I look at members of parliament, what their pay is pegged to is what they decide they want to pay themselves. Okay? It very rarely has anything to do with the economic situation.
Or SRC.
And SRC comes in, they'll threaten SRC. Okay? MCAs can't threaten SRC, at least not as effectively as the members of parliament. So my question is it possible to have such discussion so that it isn't just we don't have money, we can't pay you? The what if question, is it possible?
One, on the issue of the economy, I think all of us are cognizant of the fact that our economy is not doing very well. And even when we agitate for better pay and resources in the county assemblies, we are not blind to that fact. But look at this. The Treasury has allocated 80 billion to the government through now SRC to review the salaries of the state and public officers at the moment. So already in the budget, there's an allocation of money that is geared towards reviewing the the salaries of the state officers and the public officers. What we are asking as county assemblies is that we do not want the national government to commit more than what they have already committed. From what is available, they should consider the need to have a fair and decent allocation of that money to the county assemblies. Of all that money, the only amount that goes to the county assemblies, 47 county assemblies with 2,300 members, is around 350 million. Now, the point is, that is not even, it's not even 1% of the total amount of money that was allocated for salary review. So as we understand the issue of the economies, the reason why there is reluctance in listening to the plea of the MCAs is not because of the money. It is because perhaps people think that MCAs are not deserving. People think that these being the local leaders, they don't appreciate the role that they play in the local level. They don't appreciate the need and the role of county assemblies in strengthening the evolution in this country. And I will tell you, more than the issue of the pay, the discussion that is happening in this country with respect to county assemblies is a discussion of the future of the county governments. It is the discussion about the future and the strength of devolution. And I will confidently say that if the pleas of the MCAs are not considered, not even in its entirety, due consideration, I have a feeling that the continuity and the strengthening of devolution in this country is going to be weakened. The oversight is going to be weakened. Even the issue of representation in the local level is going to be weakened. Why? Because we have a cadre of state officers who are so subservient to even staff, civil servants in the counties. They no longer command any respect. They cannot meet their own personal needs, leave alone the ones for the community. And for such, we continue to weaken the role of members of county assemblies and the legislative bodies in our county governments. 2, on the issue of the local revenue, the structure that is there at the moment is that once you have the local revenue, the same amount goes back again to the revenue fund for reallocation. So even if we collect as much as counties, and the figures has been going higher year in, year out, that cannot change the pay of an MCA because that commission will still limit and guide on what each member is going to be paid. So irrespective of whether you collect less or more, your salaries will still be paid by SRC.
Brother Speaker,
as is indicated.
There's something that this current government has shown the public. Whether they're seeing it or not, I don't know. These fellows like changing laws. Any opportunity. It's like if it's inconvenient, change it.
It will do it.
If it's not doing what it's supposed to do, revamp it. Which means change it. Now, why is it that what you're saying cannot be changed? What prevents what you're saying as being cast in concrete cannot be changed? Who says that allocation must remain the way it is, and that once it goes to that particular fund, it goes and sits and does whatever it does there? Where is it written that that cannot be changed? Where? If we change all these laws, we've been having
the
this,
Constitution, yeah.
Yes, we've been having this huge debate about the finance bill and all. This period we've been in has been about change.
That is true.
So why can't that be changed?
Yeah, City, you are now thinking outside the box. And I think with that open mind, it is very possible. But every time we talk of anything dealing with resources, the only thing that stops that argument is that, the law, the regulations, the PFM Act, and now the SRC in this case.
Okay, let's talk a little honestly about these matters, okay? Is there an MCA who's content to be an MCA all his life?
No, there can be.
Maybe.
There are some.
But and should not be taken to be a bad thing to be content to be an MCA.
No, it isn't. But it's not from the MCA's point of view that I'm speaking. I'm speaking from the point of view of the MP. Who is a direct threat to a member of parliament?
Member of County Assembly.
Precisely. Now, if they have the muscle in determining how certain things happen, this is a budget-making parliament. Do you really think that they are going to allow MCAs to earn that amount of money? Because from the perspective of an MPA, essentially you've armed somebody who is likely to be a very serious competitor and someone who has an advantage over you. You are in Nairobi, they are at Mashinani. So, how do you fight this battle? Because the battle we're talking about here, it isn't at county level. County level has its issues. It's at a different level. The people who ensure that monies are allocated and who it gets to and what happens where. Secondly, when you're disempowered, as you correctly put it, it means someone is easier to bribe when they do not have.
I do not buy that argument. I heard that argument from 15 years ago, when you said, let's increase the salary for members of parliament so they are not bribed. Let's increase the salaries of the people at Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission so they are not bribed. Remember, Justice Ringara's pay was increased. Let us increase these things. And even today, members of parliament earn so much more than they used to earn 15 years ago.
Yes.
Do we hear allegations of bribery in parliament?
They are more difficult to bribe. These guys are easier to bribe.
They are not more difficult to bribe. They're just more expensive to bribe.
But that expense is the difficulty.
It is not difficult.
In fact, I think, Eric, we are missing the point because, the MCAs are more expensive to bribe. The MCAs are generally more expensive. You've heard of 10,000 in parliament. I'm very sure if you ask my speaker here, he'll tell you that it's very hard with them. What is happening now, in fact, the government is spending more. Because what is happening now is people are having more bonding trips, more retreats. You see?
Yes.
So it's more expensive to the exchequer. It's not about bribery. It's about you're sustaining these counties. The expenditures now are very high. And why is it high? Because the MCAs, every day you wake up in the office, you're struggling. You give them, I think like car car reimbursement.
And you want to tell me, Robert, that if we increase your... Because right now your pay is gross 144,000, right? Plus, and now that has been increased to 154,000 by the proposal by the SRC from July. Plus a sitting allowance for one committee, 62,000.
No, not there's no 62,000 one committee.
Sitting allowance
That is the ceiling.
Yeah,
you cannot spend more than 62,000 on any MCA
per month.
Yes.
And that is
on
inclusive
sittings.
of...
So you earn more than 154,000 shillings if we include now the committee sitting allowance, right? Let's double this. Are you telling me that the county executive is now going to sponsor less trips?
You know, let me tell you.
Because now the MCA is earning more. Now we don't need to work with the county assembly.
It is now the government to say that you can have, because now it's unlimited. Every time you try to control that, they tell you, but how much do you earn?
No, my argument is, your argument here is, because of how much the MCA is paid, it becomes easier for them to be bribed. No, they are
not easier to be bribed.
They are subservient, that's what the speaker said, subservient to the executive, because of how much they earn. I am asking, are you saying that we've paid MCAs across the country 500,000 shillings, they will be less subservient?
Yes.
That their conscience now will kick in?
No, it
is not about the money anymore. Suddenly they'll get a conscience.
No. Eric, listen. The pay in relation to other cadres, because now the MCAs earn less than the deputy directors at the county level. You are coming to oversight a director who is earning more than you.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
First, the only thing you have there, the leverage you have ever there is the Jina Mweshimiwa.
Yes.
That's the only thing you have over there.
No, the leverage that you have is the law.
You have more.
Let me tell you.
The law that gives you the authority to oversight this person, that is the leverage that you have.
Unless you're trying to say, Robert, that law then, in the way it is constituted, holds no power for you to then be able to do these things that you're clamoring for.
You have the law, and my speaker can tell you here that you have the law on your side.
It's just
the law. How many Kenyans?
So this this director will have so much kiburi. What nini wataka?
Basically, some of them. Let me tell you a situation. We have a governor who is now. We have an MCA who is now a governor.
Yeah.
And you people, even the media, know what was happening in Nairobi in the last assembly. Even a good number of these directors and county executive committee members would not even honor park sitting. Now we are dealing with 24 Auditor General reports because people refuse to honor. Alikuwa anambia unataka nini? Hatukuji. Utafanya nini?
Is that a function of pay?
No, because first he has ensured that 3 or 4 of you have been silenced, and because they hold, if the chairman doesn't call the meetings, what would you do? Because the chairman is the members cannot collect signatures and say that we are calling a park meeting or we are calling a committee meeting. It is the chairman's. They need to call the meeting, and I'm sure the chairman is in his pocket.
Let's take a break. Robert Alai, Member of Parliament in Nairobi County Assembly, representing the people of Kileleshwa. Philemon Sabule, Member of County Assembly.
Thank you.
Yeah, Parliament of Nairobi. Philemon Sabule is the Speaker of Elgeyo Marakwet County and is the chair of the national chairman of the County Assemblies Forum. Time for that break. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
You have been saving and are now seeking a safe and secure investment for a profitable return. For an investment that is cushioned from inflation, call 0719-034-550. With a deposit of as little as 250,000, you can now start collecting rental income from your unit at Elmer Estate in Kasarani by Centum Real Estate. You have been saving and are now seeking a safe and secure investment for a profitable return. For an investment that is cushioned from inflation, call 0740-400-550. 0215. You can now start collecting rental income from your unit at 1255 Palm Ridge in Kilifi.
In Nairobi at 14, highs of 20. We'll see highs of 24 in Nakuru and highs of 21 in Nyeri. 22 will be the high in Eldoret and 28 in Mombasa. 28 will also be the high in Malindi. We're looking at highs of 27 in Kisumu and 26 in Kakamega. Looking into Kampala, they'll see highs of 24 today, and Dar es Salaam will see highs of 29. 17 will be the high in Johannesburg and 29 in Lagos. 29 will be the high in Kinshasa. Doing the business in Nairobi today. It's not too bad on the Thika Superhighway, Kiambu Road on a Friday morning. Normally isn't so crazy, and this is what we see right now. Coming out of Westlands, it's okay. Both in and outbound on Gong Road is looking pretty busy today. But into the CBDs where most folks are going today, as well as on Jogo Road as you're trying to approach Landis. Kangundo Road looks pretty busy as you're coming in from that Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital junction. And we're also seeing traffic on North Airport Road piling over towards Mbakasi and Outer Ring. Let's know what's going on where you are. And we'll take a look at what's going on Magadi Road in a bit. Spice FMKE on Twitter.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
MCA Kileleshwa Ward in Nairobi County. We're talking about the welfare of members of county assemblies countrywide. And there's something that you started with, Robert, which was pushing for separation of accounts. That the county executive controls the accounts that also facilitate the operations of the county assembly. Was this an oversight in law? How does it happen at the national level?
Maybe my speaker.
Well, the issue of financial autonomy or separation of accounts, as you say, it is very important as part of oversight policies in the counties. And as Robert explained earlier, today, expenditures of the county assembly can only be realized through approval by the county executive and the treasury. What that makes is that the county executive can always derail or even refuse or even show clear reluctance in approving funds that goes to the county assemblies. What we are asking for as county assemblies is that the county assemblies have their own budgets. They are audited independently by the Auditor General, and as such, being an institution that has its own accounting officer, that is the clerk, there will be no reason why another institution, being another arm of government, should oversight or in any way play a role in the financial processes. So it's about the financial processes. What will happen going forward is that the controller of budget should be the only one that goes through the budgets of the county assemblies and approve every month the expenditures of the county assembly.
Does the county assembly, when we are passing the county budget, does the county assembly have a vote? Does the county assembly have a figure that this is going to the county assembly?
The county assembly have independent budgets and ceilings. And the ceilings of the county assemblies are determined by CRA, that is Commission on Revenue Allocation, and it is passed by Senate and National Assembly through CARA, that is County Allocation and Revenue Allocation. So the point is, the county assemblies have their own distinct budgets, only that the processes of them getting their money must pass through the CEC in charge of finance at the county executive. Now, what we've been asking as county assemblies is that for that independence to occur, then the issue of us being placed at the process of the county executive should not be there. And we have every reason to believe that that has, in many ways, compromised the independence of the county assemblies. We've had instances where a county assembly fails to receive funds for 5 months or so because the county executive and the CC has decided that cannot happen. Machakos County Assembly is a good example in the previous term, not now. And even though we don't have outcry at the moment, there's always deliberate delay. And sometimes you delay benefits for an officer for a week or 2 or 3. It's never a good thing. It slows the performance of that institution.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the issues we are working with the National Assembly and the Senate. And I'm happy to note that there's already a proposed amendment in the National Assembly of PFM Act to bring that into realization. Yeah.
Okay. The general I don't know situation now is that funds are hard to come by for Kenya as a country.
Is it?
That's what. If you heard what I said the general.
Speaker, you said the economy is not doing so well.
It's not doing so well. It's almost like a buzzword now. We're in the doldrums. Things are not really, flowing the way they would or they should. The Deputy President said yesterday that there's no money. Anybody who's coming to work now, if you can come to my office to work for free, you can come to work for free. But no matter, even if you do what you want to do, they'll not be able to get. It's like you won't be able to get anything out of a stone. Robert, I can already see that you don't believe this story, and that you feel that there's something that can actually be done if they want to. But the general feeling or the general message now is that everybody is going to have to cut their coat according to their cloth, because there's little cloth, if any, at all.
No,
or you wear your old coat.
I also believe that we have to reduce our expenditures, especially at the government, the national and the devolved units. But I also believe that we have to, if we are going to send the message that the cash is very hard to come by, then you have to be consistent, because you cannot be employing 50 CSS and saying that from 27 and saying that cash is hard to come by. You cannot be proposing to increase the salary of the president, the deputy president, like they did, in June, and say cash is hard to come by. We cannot be having one of the biggest convoys you see. It's increasing by the day for the president, and you see the state officials, even the grandiose. You see the president or the leadership. Is not being strict.
It's called conspicuous consumption.
Yes, you're seeing government officials. You can be wealthy as a government official, but trying to show it off and put it on the face of people who are struggling and poor, and we used to even have standard of vehicles we are supposed to use in the government. Now it seems it has been thrown off the window, and everybody can buy a Lexus, and you can buy the most expensive Mercedes-Benz and show it off to the poor people. Some of them who can't even have a meal a day. We have primary schools in Nairobi. Some kids go to school because in school is where they can get a meal.
Sure.
Because there's free lunch there. You see, so I think that if you're going to have a consistent message that pesa haiko, let it be kwamba haiko.
So what you're saying is that it's okay if there's no money.
Yes, but
so even
but
we as MCAs who are asking for an increase in our salary, if you're telling us that there's no money, then show us there's no money in everything. Board.
Yes, in your behavior, in your location.
Then you would be okay with staying with the money that currently earning?
We'll understand.
Okay.
We might not be okay, but we'll understand that government, inchi yetu in a struggle. But now you have a situation that you're told that there's no money, but the president is doubling the size of the assistant ministers or the CSS, and telling you that he's going to give them mortgage of 30 million per each, going to translate to 1.75 billion. The kind of opulence is being shown. You see the two. If just the issue of Amara has brought it to focus. If you go to that compound today, you'll find the 3 cabinet secretaries who bought 150 million shilling houses.
They are actually currently at 120 million.
If you speak to Saiton, they say they don't sell below 150. So Eric,
and that's the opulence that now you want to translate down to those who have elected you at the ward level.
In fact, we are saving.
You want more money so that now you can come and show us.
It is. I told you. If you ask the MCAs on the priority list on the demands they're making, the 12 of them, you see, the least concern is on the salaries. facilitate me as a ward rep. You give the MP 1.5 million a month. Why don't you even give me, because averagely we have 5 wards in a constituency. Why don't you even give me 300,000? Because you tell me to employ 3 employees, you give me 109,000. You see, there's a minimum wage requirement. What is the minimum wage requirement? But why, if you give me that amount, I'm going to pay below the minimum wage requirement? The same government. So am I going to go against the government regulations as a government official? You see, why don't we harmonize this? This is what I'm saying, that, the discussion here, SRC might not understand what you're saying because they are not in our shoes. You see, you tell me to have an office in Kileleshwa for 18,000, but we don't have government land. So these people, what is the going commercial rate? Why don't you review the commercial rate? Then you say that in Kileleshwa we'll allocate this. In this other place, in Umoja, this other place, you don't have to give one size fits all for everybody. You see, you review and you say that we are going to give you as per what has been reviewed to be the going commercial rate for your area.
So are you saying therefore, Mheshimiwa, that if you say, for instance, allocated an office,
yes,
you had members of staff who were paid, the ones who have been allocated to you, you were given a housing allowance that is more than probably what you're being given now, and you are given a few, all these benefits that come with the office, then the push for more pay would not be there.
No, you see, probably because the push for more pay. Let me tell you, in the current arrangement, the MCA earns less than the CDF manager. The CDF manager earns not less than 212,000 a month from the 1.5 million allocation for the MCA to
gross or net?
Yes, gross.
Okay.
Yeah. So why are you going to tell the MCAs that even if they go into the arrangement, leave alone the pay? Let's go to the WDF. Today I have Governor Sakaja.
What is that? What on
WDF?
What development
fund?
So if you say, why don't you anchor it in law that even if I'm friendly or not friendly to the governor, development will come to my ward? You give a percentage allocation, you see, of development to a ward, so that I don't have to be friend to the governor for me to get the development. A good number of the MCAs who are trying to be strict and are sitting in committees like PAC, if you try to be strict on the county expenditures, what the governor will just do to ensure that amezima ile contractor na kujanga kwako alipwi sasa.
And that's it.
That's what you do. Wambora survived. If you go to the people of Embu, to the county assemblies of Embu, you talk to the MCAs who survived under Wambora, they'll tell you, ask Meru why they are silent now. Ask Meru why they are silent now. Because the governor discovered that she has power. Now, probably amenyonga hiyo power, the salary or the ward development. And you can't do anything. You now have to suck up to her.
For something that is constitutionally yours.
Yes. So, but the development is not pegged in law. So sio lazima kupatie. You can give 500 million to Njiru ward, but give Kileleshwa nothing.
And you will not ask her.
Yes, and the law does not force him to give you
the money.
Equal allocation. Yeah.
Okay. These conversations, you've had them at County Assemblies Forum with SRC many times, right? And I'm sure when you're going to have conversations with them, you break down the issues. There's the issue of direct pay, there's the issue of allowances, there's the issue of the facilitation. There are all these other issues. What response do you get from them? Do they understand? Of course they understand. But do they understand it the way you understand it?
So first, before I deal with that, is that on the issue of the availability of funds, because I think that's now the biggest issue, that there's no money, the country is struggling. And as I said earlier, all of us appreciate that particular fact. But our glamour at the moment is based in what the government has already set aside for review of salaries.
Yeah.
We're not telling them that to review from 80 billion to 100 billion. We are saying within this 80 billion that has been set aside, can we then have a decent portion of it to remunerate and support and resource county assemblies and members of county assemblies. So it is no longer the issue of whether the funds are there. It is a fact of saying, do we as a country appreciate the role that member of county assembly play? Do we appreciate that also wards and their ward offices has to be resourced, have proper staffing, good numbers, good capacity for them to help member of county assembly discharge his roles in the wards? So that's a fact that must be very clear. We have resources which have been set for salary review, but there is a bit of reluctance in appreciating that a decent figure of it should support members of county assemblies. 1. 2, on the issue of SRC and county assemblies engagement, as I said earlier, we've engaged with SRC not once, not twice, but severally. Initially, they told us that they didn't get a proper job evaluation report from the county assemblies for them to appreciate how job grading will be, and also to guide on how to allocate resources and salaries to MCAs. And what we did as County Assembly Forum is that working with our stakeholders and other institutions, we came up with a thorough evaluation of job description of a member of County Assembly, a very big document. That document we shared with the Secretariat of SRC, we shared with the commissioners, we had a discussion around table, we went through all those areas, quite a voluminous document, and they were very happy that for once they appreciated. And I could see a new dawn even in the manner in which they are appreciating the difficulties and the challenges that members of county assemblies go through in discharge of their responsibilities. They could even see huge disparities in how we treat members of county assemblies and how members of National Assembly are treated. They were able to appreciate for once that where we have placed members of county assemblies, even in the counties, in relation to other cadres and administrative positions, was so low and demeaning that they then say that they will try as much as they could to make sure that they bridge that gap and bring a redress to that particular problem. So we were very happy, in fact, we told our members that we think we are making progress. We think that SRC has not been supported before by ourselves to understand what we do. But shock to us is that even as we engage them, every proposal that came from SRC continued to remain the same as it has been before. And that's why around 1 month or two ago, members of county assemblies felt agitated. They were getting impatient because we are engaging an institution that is listening, and I must confirm that they are listening, but does not do anything in relation to what we are saying. We have done a number of memorandums, I think around 4, and I have them here to SRC. And they appreciate that they are factual. They are factual because they are based on true parameters on what members of county assemblies do. So as to the reason why SRC continued to behave as they have always done, even with the engagement, documentation, evaluation that we've done before, it really defeats logic, and I do not understand why. Because again, as I said earlier, on matters of resources, we are saying let's use resources that are currently available for job and salary review, and not any other more. And county assemblies, as even said before, that we are willing, as City Muga said, to have a portion of the county resources that is already allocated to us as part of bridging areas that we think SRC should consider. And this is the reason. 1, SRC may not understand really what areas of capacity building and resource that MCA may want. When we talk about the basic pay, we are saying that perhaps there are other areas in which resources have been placed, yet they are not as urgently needed or so much important and needed as that of a pay. They may not appreciate the need to support the ward offices and the staff in the ward offices. They may not appreciate the need to strengthen the committees. Why? Because it is in committees that the work is populated to the plenary. So we were telling them that as much as resources are minimal, they can also give us a space to look at the resources at the county level and be able to bridge with that we can get through the salary review that is currently ongoing.
If the SRC actually understand, you can't listen for as long as they were listening and not understand, given their mandate and role, and given the role they have played, even at the inception of county governments and county assemblies, the effort they put in to try and ensure that these assemblies understood the processes of lawmaking, all these things that have to do with their day-to-day function. I would say you are right when you say they listen, but I would also say they understand. So the question is, where do you think the influence comes in where this understanding is not actualized? Beyond saying that there isn't enough money. Who benefits from the county assemblies not being empowered? I think that's the word, empowered. Who benefits?
I think, like you said earlier, I think the MPs are key beneficiaries in this. But I also think that the governors, and this is, when I came into the seat, one of the biggest conversations we had here with the team from Spice FM and the listeners is that the fact that the seat of the MCA is not properly recognized and appreciated. And if we were to recognize this seat, I think probably we would not need the National Assembly. We would only need the Senate and the seat. If you give development to the wards and then you have the oversight with for the national, I'm seeing City Muga. The fight I'm starting is wondering if I will win it. But some of these conversations,
it's important to have them. Raise it.
When we say that the ward reps, we don't give them proper recognition, appreciation, because they might, one is a kiburi and they become MPs. If I am an MP who believes that I'm working, why should I fear somebody else taking my seat? And is it a personal seat? We've had, do we want to serve this country or we want to ensure that we have employment on this seat forever? It is service to wananchi. If I'm not delivering service to you people, you can as well replace me. And even there's a recall clause which we have ensured that it doesn't work. Well, and I wish that it worked, because it would put us on the toes, so that ground inakuanga inakuchangamsha all the time. I think that the conversation we need to have to appreciate the role of the MCAs is that let's facilitate these people. Let's facilitate all of us. Let's ensure that the MCAs have the proper facilitation to carry out their employment. And also, some of them, like the Utawala, not Utawala, Miango. We've had one MCA serving since 1997. Honorable Kados. We call him Mugabe because he has been there for so long. But still, if you go to that county today,
to the ward,
no, the county, Nairobi City Hall. If you are new, you will be told it's a hall. You'll be looking for how it operates. Because what the law says is not how it actually operates. You see? So they'll tell you that it will take a newcomer a very long time to understand the city, because they think they are not systems. In some departments, you still find people being paid in cash. There's no ERP, which is county, which is, people don't believe in these processes and systems and, solutions which the ICT can deliver. Wakiona computer, they see some departments, they see it like it will hamper their work, in a way. But in this county today, Nairobi City County, we don't know who is collecting revenue. We don't know the owner of the company. We don't know who contracted it. We don't know who has admin rights in this county, the biggest county in the country.
What do you mean we don't know who's collecting revenue?
We don't know who runs Nairobi Pay. The governor tried to go to Manyani prison to go at endesho na NIS. I said, NIS jamani, NIS are Kenyans. They are just our organ. They provide for us security. These conversations, when we try to complete, this Nairobi County needed not even a single cent from the exchequer. But because the government is not listening, if you want to increase the revenues from the counties today, please listen to the MCAs and talk to the MCAs and empower them, because they know all the holes.
They know where the holes are.
They know where all the shimos are and who is and they will help you, because I'm telling you 99% of them are not into that shimo.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today and for raising this conversation. We'll keep having these conversations. It's important because our devolution must work.
Thank you.
Philemon Sabule is the national chairman of the County Assemblies Forum and Speaker of Elgeyo-Marakwet County. Robert Alai is the member of the Nairobi County Assembly and MCA for Kileleshwa Ward. Conversations continue 8 a.m.
Sugar and spice and everything I
spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The head of the World Bank says that the lender plans to introduce a pause mechanism for debtor countries in the event of them being hit by a crisis is underway. Speaking during a roundtable on the Alliance for Green Infrastructure in the ongoing New Global Financing Pact Summit in Paris, France, Ajay Banga said that the multilateral lender would adopt a new approach that significantly expands the World Bank's toolkit. His remarks came after President William Ruto, who was also present, pushed for the deployment of the proposed $500 billion a year in new lending to refinance maturing official debt into new long-term loans of 50-year-old maturity with a 10 to 20-year grace period.
We need a financial transaction tax at a global level where even countries like Kenya pay. We do not want anything for free. We will pay more eventually because we have a bigger economy. We will pay commensurate to our economy. And we want those resources controlled not by IMF and World Bank. Because IMF and World Bank, you have the final say. We don't have no say. We want another organization of equals where you have as much say because we pay, as much as we do because we also pay. That's the organization we are looking for. And that is why we are saying we need a new financial architecture where governance, where power is not on the hands of a few people.
Well, as the president continues to fight for us internationally, brace yourself for tougher times with commodity prices expected to rise further while incomes drop as changes in the finance bill are set to take effect in a week's time. This follows Parliament's move to pass the bill, which has proposed the raising of VAT on fuel products from 8 to 16% and introduction of a 1.5% housing on employees' basic salaries charged on employer and employee. The two key proposals, which will take effect on Saturday next week once the bill is signed by the president, will have far-reaching implications on households across the country due to their effect in rising the cost of production and transportation of goods. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has disputed claims that MPs who voted for the finance bill did so to please President William Ruto. Gachagua further castigated Azimio MPs, saying that they passed the finance bill because they had the numbers.
There's nothing like a Ruto voting machine. Nobody votes as a machine in Parliament. All the members of the National Assembly who voted for the finance bill are part and parcel of the Kenya Kwanza plan. They were not voting for what William Ruto wants. They were voting for what they believe in because they are part and parcel of our manifesto. And we have told these as Azimio characters, you cannot beat us. How? We have the numbers, you don't have the numbers. We have the ideas, you have no ideas. We have a plan, you had no plan. Sasa, watu iko na plan na watu ya kuweka sufuria kwa kichwa, is there any comparison? That isn't.
Gachagua further promised Kenyans that the money they'll be taxed will be accounted for and put into good use.
Sasa watu iko na plan na watu ya kuweka sufuria kwa kichwa, is there any comparison? That isn't. So I really want to salute our members of the National Assembly. The President and I are very proud of you, and we want to assure you that those funds that you have recommended we collect from the people of Kenya, they will be used prudently for the benefit of the people of this great country.
Police officers in Laikipia County have seized marijuana believed to have a value of 60,000, while one suspect has been arrested. County Commissioner Joseph Nyeri says the suspect has been running this illegal business in Muthaiga, Nanyuki, and investigations are ongoing.
Almost every other day, we have 100, 200 rolls of bangi being arrested, and plants also being uprooted in some of the areas. People are taking advantage of growing this. But in this particular instance, we have 583 rolls of bangi with a street value estimated to be in the range of 600,000. And the matter is being processed for subsequent court action. This is what is ruining the lives of our young men in Laikipia.
Nyeri further said that the police will cooperate with county leaders in the crackdown against illicit brew.
Besides the bangi issue and the bars, we are carrying on a major crackdown in the county. This is a joint effort again with the county government and all our security agencies. We are giving it a multi-agency approach. We've managed to confiscate counterfeit.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, in and out of the city, we're looking at it. Traffic building certain parts on Naivasha Road as you're getting then into towards and touching on Gong Road, as well as going in towards Riara Road, out towards James Gishuru. Looks pretty busy right about now. It's not done too poorly on the Thika Superhighway today. What's left of morning traffic, even before traffic hour is over, is seeping through towards Muthaiga Square. On Kiambu Road, also, the last we'll see of it probably this morning is also happening there. Waiyaki Way getting into the city, not too bad. Outer Ring is looking busy at the exits and entries on both the Thika Superhighway and coming off of Mombasa Road as well. Okay, so as you're going towards the Eastern Bypass, we have some movement here and there. Jogo Road is pretty busy. It's been busy all morning, likely to be so as we get closer towards the end of traffic hour. So it's a normal Friday morning. Remember, it's still a bit fuzzy in some parts, so you need to have your fog lights on. Or if you're in the car with somebody who doesn't have them on, tell them to put them on so we can avoid accidents. Yes. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up,
Have you
not
downloaded
down.
the 911 Group app? You should, and this is why. So 911 Group first is this very, very experienced security company. It's been in operation in Kenya for over 25 years. They have various things that they do. Well, they can give you armed guard services. Well, guard services, not armed. Can give you guard services. They can, install tracking devices on your vehicles. They can come and do towing of your vehicles in case of breakdown. They give you the breakdown services and very many other security-related services. Now, they have come up with this app because they realize that there's a need for such an app in the community. And this is what happens. You are in a situation that requires immediate, urgent intervention, and you don't know who to call or you don't know where to go. Let's say your vehicle is broken down somewhere and you need it towed or you need it sorted out. You need a mechanic to come close to you, or you need it then moved to a garage. Who do you call? 911. Let's say there is a security incident in your home and you basically need a response, rapid response. You need to call somebody who can come and mobilize others to come and sort you out with a security incident. Who do you call? 911. Now, how do you call them? It's easiest if you have the 911 Group app, because from the app, you just go into the app, you get in there, you press the panic button, they can see exactly where you are from their call center, and they'll be able to dispatch a team to come and sort you out. It's easy peasy. Go to Google Play Store, Apple App Store, download the 911 Group app. Our next conversation is about using AI for data in research, and it's a big one because today is Friday. We have Health Friday conversations. This one is a big one. How do we embrace AI technologies in healthcare? We're joined by two gentlemen. Henry Okoh is the Monitoring, Evaluation and Research Officer, and as well as Data Protection Officer with the African Population and Health Research Center. Sam Makao is the Communications Co-Chair at the Coalition for Health Research and Development. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. It's good to have you here. And to welcome you to the conversation, CT has the day's proverb. This week's proverbs are from the country of
Kenya.
Gentlemen,
you may have heard of the country.
Definitely have.
Yes, you have, huh?
Yeah. Accidentally.
Okay. Good fortune doesn't like the roar of a lion. That's what I said. Now, the guests we had a problem with that proverb, so we tried to tweak it. And the tweak was, good fortune doesn't roar like a lion. One doesn't like the roar, the other one is now roar like a lion.
Mm-hmm. I prefer the second one.
Me too.
I prefer the edit.
Me too. I think you've heard of pesa imenyamaza, yeah? Money doesn't make noise.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Good fortune. Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, small money does. But
in which country?
Big money?
In this country. Have you ever been in traffic and you're telling your that's supposed to be a horn, and you look in the rear view mirror if you're driving, and there's this huge car that has decided that on a single lane they're creating a third lane. Mm. And if you think it's one car, the other car's following. Have you ever come across that one?
Mm.
Yeah. And then they have strobe lights like a disco. Okay? Yeah. Mm. Now, see, that's money speaking.
Making a lot of noise, no?
Making a hell of a lot of noise.
And being a nuisance.
An absolute nuisance. Mm-hmm. But I get your point.
Yeah.
Eric would have asked you, what do you make of this proverb? The one which you like?
Yeah, I don't know.
You must. You guys are such Kenyans. You basically edited a proverb and customized it, made it yours, and you still can't define it.
And he had said he liked it. So what do you like about it, which you now say you don't know?
No. I tend to think that, compared to the first one,
this one sounds better.
Yeah, this one sounds better. I don't know why. It's just a gut feeling.
Okay. Sam, what's your interpretation of either of those two proverbs?
When there is sort of myths that people have when they say that don't tell people when you're planning big things, just keep it to yourself. Let's say, these people are leaving the country and they say, I'll only tell people once the flight is booked, the visa is there, everything is there. It's the same thing. That's good fortune. You don't want to shout because you never know who's watching and is trying to cancel your airplane tickets.
Kamati ya roho chafu.
Iko.
Okay, Sam. You are a communications co-chair at the Coalition for Health Research and Development. What's that?
Yes. So CREED, we call it CREED. The Coalition for Health Research and Development is a network of non-state actors. These are NGOs that have come together and they've seen a need to advocate for research and development. There are a few issues that need to be addressed within the space, whether it's on policy, ensuring that the policies create an environment that will ensure that in Kenya we have robust R&D, or it's in financing, ensuring that there is enough money being allocated to R&D.
That's it? Huh?
Yeah, that's it.
It's just ensuring that there's enough money going into research and development.
And the policy environment.
Okay.
Yes.
What about the modern technology now being deployed? We've seen AI coming in. We want to have a conversation on AI.
Yeah. So what happens is different partners are working on different things. Different partners normally have different mandates. So you find that within the coalition, we have organizations that are working in HIV, in TB, in malaria, but of course they have a component of R&D. So they're looking at how do we improve treatment towards HIV, how do we improve treatments towards TB, malaria, non-communicable diseases, and also tropical diseases that are found within the country.
Yeah.
So trying to find local solutions to these problems that are uniquely ours. Yeah.
Henry, at the African Population and Health Research Center, we've had the pleasure of hosting the director here, and we had an interesting conversation. You are the officer in charge of monitoring and evaluation and research and also data protection. Now, that aspect of data protection, research is all about data.
Yeah.
It's big that you actually now think about how you protect this data in this new world of technology. So what is it that APHRC is doing?
Yeah, so just to mention a little bit about APHRC. So APHRC is a policy and research-based organization, Africa-based, Africa-led, right? And what we are trying to do as an institution is to make these advances in the field of research. And we have a couple of program areas. One under human development. Here we are looking at education, gender, and so forth. We have one under health and well-being, Here we are exploring and studying the space of nutrition, maternal health, and so forth. And then we have urbanization. Here we are studying migration and the likes. We are looking at sustainability of it. And then we have the elephant in the room, the data science programs. And if you think about research, if you think about artificial intelligence, if you think about all these, it isn't really possible without data, right? But then data, whatever data we are using is actually linked to individuals, right? It is defined. Whatever we are talking about, it's about human beings, right? And so what we are saying is, although we want to make advances in technology, right, we need to make it in a way that we do not harm the people for whom we intend to benefit with it, right? And we've seen previously, historically, and with a lot of ethics studies, you see that researchers human beings can be overbearing sometimes, right? And so, so with data protection, we are trying to set some borderlines and ensure that whatever we are doing is within the ethical standards, within the law. And
do you think that even as we have this discussion, that the regular citizen understands research, the role of research, data, the importance of data? Because I asked this question, I could continue, but for something to make sense, I have to understand it. And for me to understand it fully, I need to understand how everything you're saying impacts my life on a daily basis.
Definitely.
So now, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I think at the moment, compared to a couple of years back, I think we have a better understanding of what data is, what our data means.
And we here is who exactly?
Let me say Kenyans, but then there's still a lot to do. Yes. So I'm saying we've moved. So let's think of 2015, right? We didn't really care so much about what data is being collected by what institutions. But right now, after Huduma number and the likes, we started caring a little bit. But I think there's still a lot more that needs to be done in this space. We need to break down. You guys are aware we have a Data Protection Act in Kenya, right?
We are aware.
Yes, and we need to break this down. We just don't need to know that, okay, we have a law that regulates this. We need to know the contents of the law. To what extent? How far do we agree with it? How far do we disagree with it? And
Okay.
So there's still a lot to do.
So in terms of the conversation that we're having, we're looking then at AI technologies and how they then can help in improving healthcare. So maybe we can come towards AI and say, all right, AI, artificial intelligence, we know what that is. Maybe what we can do is, can we look at a definition of what AI actually is? Interventions void of human intelligence, but then in order to have that intelligence, there must have been a human behind it to create it. So what exactly are we talking about? And then now going into the realm of how it does affect or how it can improve healthcare and technologies.
Yeah. So you want to
go? I think maybe I can start with some of the myths that currently exist around AI. And I actually wanted to answer his question, the one that you asked him. Two things are being done right now. I know in Kenya right now, the good thing is Kenya is one of those countries that have really strong civil society that collaborate together. And what they're doing is ensuring that there is community engagement. So whenever you are coming up with an intervention, let's say in the realm of HIV, prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and care, they're involved in the process. So you're not coming up with interventions without the people who are actually going to use these interventions. And then the second thing is that there's a study going on right now, and it's looking at citizen science. It's looking at empowering the people to participate in such scientific processes. So looking at who do you engage in such situations? Is it doctors? Is it healthcare workers? Is it people who work within the communities? And you're looking at how they're going to be able to meaningfully contribute and look at scientific processes that lead to the development of AI products and technologies.
That's what they're doing. Why are they doing it?
They're doing it because it's important that the people who use the interventions are able to contribute to how it's being developed. More often than not, you find that people come up with interventions, health interventions, without consulting the people who actually use them. And you need that feedback, because at the end of the day, the quality of care is what matters, and quality of care is very personal.
So are they suggesting that this hasn't been done before?
No, it's not that it hasn't been done before. It's that we are in the age of technology. We're in the age of AI, and it's not. It was done before, but fragmented. Now you find that partners are coming together and they are working together to do this. That's why you have a coalition like CREED that is coordinating over 20 different civil society partners and NGOs to contribute to different parts of this R&D work.
Okay. I want to ask about that artificial intelligence, right? It's basically machines looking at what people have been doing and then using that and learning a bit more. If we use it in health research, what kind of risks are we talking about? At what levels do we actually engage AI in health research? And you were coming actually to answer that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get in there.
The different levels that you can use AI. But mostly, I think the most useful use of AI, especially within the health sector, is in processing data, because there's a lot of health data that is out there that is fragmented, that you need to put together, you need to analyze, so that you can be able to have, you can be able to draw out conclusions or different things from the data. So AI will help people process the data much better, much faster, and more accurate. And I think for me, what I'd say is, when I first heard of AI and its intersection with R&D, I was thinking around diagnosis. There's so many cases of misdiagnosis around the country, and it's not just in Kenya. It's not just a Kenyan thing. It's a global thing. I am myself a victim of misdiagnosis. I know a couple of people who've been misdiagnosed, so it can really come in to help some of these issues. And we have a lot of issues with doctors and people who work in the healthcare, especially when it comes to them being paid and other things. This would be a tool that would be able to enhance the treatment of care when it comes to now doctors interacting with patients and being able to provide better care.
And allow me to jump in with an example of one of the work that we are currently doing. So right now we are working on what we would like to call Inspire Pitch. This is a platform funded by CIDA and IDRC.
Inspire Pitch.
Yeah, Inspire Pitch. So the Inspire part stands for Implementation Network for Sharing Data from Research Institutions, and then Pitch is a platform for evaluating, analyzing harmonized COVID-19 data, right? And so what we are trying to do with this is we are picking data from different sources, COVID-19 data from different sources. This can be from health facilities, this can be from what was collected by government and so forth, right? And so if we are pulling all this together, harmonizing it, putting it, if you pick data from different sources, they exist in kind of different ways. Someone has defined age a little differently from how you've done that. And so there's a little of harmonization that goes on there. And you see, when you're picking it from different sources, this becomes very large data sets. Bulky. Very, very bulky stuff, right? And so there's a harmonization process that goes in, a very painful process that it requires a lot of hours of work put in there. And then this data now is put through a platform that now can display finding. It processes the data in a little one more step beyond what we would have easily seen, right? And so what do we benefit with this? So if you think about COVID, one of the challenges was on response time, right?
Yeah.
So we know COVID is already going, the infection is already spreading. In fact, even before we knew the infection was spreading, it took quite some time, right? And then we knew it was spreading, but then we had to collect data and see how it's spreading, right? But then that's because mostly we were relying on the traditional analytical approaches, right? But now with machine learning, we feed data, we harmonize this data, we feed it into the machine, and then we are able to draw lessons in split seconds. And our response time then reduces. It enables us, so in the sense of COVID then, we can
react much faster.
We can react much faster and prevent the spread and would have prevented the spread a little.
But do we trust this machine not to make mistakes?
So, while we're talking about artificial intelligence, let's think of what goes back in the back. So, for this machine to make decisions, it's looking at data.
Yes.
It's trained on data sets. And so I'll tell you, for before this machine makes a mistake, then a human being has probably done a mistake somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. So even as it makes decisions based on the data, there's always someone else who's going to look at the data and do some data cleaning at the back.
Which is why I was asking in the initial, can we define what lines are we talking about when we're talking about artificial intelligence here? Because if we say that a machine is making decisions, or a machine essentially is informing decisions, somebody gave the command, somebody created the footprint upon which this machine was going to walk, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? And then somebody continues to monitor and make sure, essentially, that this machine continues to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So can we then say that artificial intelligence really then is void of human intelligence?
I have to be very careful when responding to that. Right now, the technologies as APHRC, whatever we are interacting with, is dependent on data that is fed. But we know out there is potential for artificial intelligence that can solve problems that it has never been trained on. Right? That is a potential space. And there's a lot that's going down in terms of managing that and seeing how that is rolled out. But right now, what we are speaking about is on artificial intelligence that's dependent on data that is being fed.
Okay, it's like looking at a kid. All right, a child, a baby, will learn from the parents and the people around it, and then by and by, this child then becomes intelligent, and they start making their own decisions. So by and by, this machine that we are feeding initial data and all will get to a point where it's intelligent enough, like you said, it's already happening, where it starts making decisions on things it has never encountered before. It's seeing it for the first time, but using history, using analytics, using everything else that it knows, then it can see, this is how I probably solve this problem. Health, Buana.
Yes.
Isn't this dangerous? That at some point we shall actually rely on a machine to make health decisions.
But we actually do, even now.
It doesn't worry me a lot because throughout this process, there's someone always looking at the data.
Okay.
There's always that second human eye that's looking at and saying, okay, these were the decisions that were made here. These ones are questionable. Why? And then you look at data. Let me give you an example. Say you train a machine on skin cancer, a disease that's prominent among, say, Caucasians, right? But then you find someone of a different race suffering from the same disease. This machine is likely to make decisions based on the data set that it has been fed. And so what it comes back to us human.
Okay.
That if we want it to make decisions that are more inclusive, then we feed it more inclusive data.
You know, you've jumped right into it.
Yeah.
Because when the human beings who are involved in this research conduct this research, you're talking about inclusivity. It's a discussion, yes, but when you have equipment, whether it's AI, when you talk technology, the testing tends to be in the countries where this technology is manufactured. And the people who test these things are people from those countries. Now, inclusivity is supposed to inform us that other people who don't necessarily come from those countries, share traits, share likes, are included. That's what the discussion of inclusivity. But as we speak now, how much of that inclusivity actually exists in what we have and what we work with? Because if you're talking research and data collected, which has informed the formation and the creation, the development of these things, if it doesn't start with the diversity that you're referring to as inclusivity, then already Eric's question now comes into being. Meaning, how do we know that just because it worked here, it will work in the same way here, given our diversity and our differences?
Exactly. And that's a more, let me say, a more political question than it is AI. And I'll tell you why. that if you think about agrarian revolution, industrial revolution, as Africans, we came into the playing field late. But then here we have an opportunity.
We did.
Yes, we did.
We
Sure, we
started
did.
this
With industrial revolution, things happened out there, and then it came to us, right? But then right now, artificial intelligence, machine learning is at when it's getting founded, right? And we have that opportunity of being players in it. As APHRC, I think we are working with a couple of partners, and honestly, I have to mention CEDA and IDRC once again, and thank them for the kind of support that they are giving African institutions to make advancement in this space.
Okay.
And we cannot wait and say that we are going to wait for the technology to be developed out there and then consume it. We no longer want to be consumers.
But we're not saying we wait. I am referring to the reality. The technology already exists. We were not included in it. Just reality and fact. Not that it is bad, but you see the question Eric raised shines a spotlight on, yes, it is good. We've seen it work, but what about when it comes to people who don't represent the group on which these things were tested? That's all we're saying. We're not saying it is bad. We're not even saying it doesn't work.
The reality is there's a level of bias when it comes to everything that we do. So even when we are putting data together, there will be a level of bias. Even I'm sure you've heard of doctors in for example in the US now coming up with models that specifically address issues that are that Africans are facing, because there was bias when it came to development of treatments from the different races, if I can say that, so it is important that as we continue to develop these tools, as we continue to develop these technologies, that we address the bias that is there. And we have researchers that are actually looking at addressing the bias within the health sector and using AI, or rather ensuring that the bias is factored in the AI, so that when the data is being processed and you're looking at your output, it has that in mind.
So when it's coming to this market, it's coming empty-headed, so to speak. That will now put the brain.
Let me mention something.
We'll put the data into its brain.
AI is not a single technology, and their advancement. So I'll tell you, we are talking about Inspire Pitch. Someone else is talking about ChatGPT. Everyone's heard of this. Someone else is talking about no-code platform. Someone else is talking about this and that, right? And so there's what has already been developed out there, but then there's still a lot out here that can be done. And so are we going to sit and wait for everything to be developed out there?
Okay, that's the challenge.
Yeah.
So let's take a break on that note. 27 minutes to 9. We're having a Health Friday conversation, embracing artificial intelligence technology in health research. We've got two people with us in the studio. Henry Okoh is a monitoring, evaluation and research officer, as well as a data protection officer with the Africa Population and Health Research Center. Sam Macau is a communications co-chair with the Coalition for Health Research and Development. Keep it here. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Sasa baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui, lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
He's the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ, when he slapped those guys and walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa, took them to heaven.
The Situation Room Kenya's biggest conversation.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. Highs of 20 and lows of 14. We'll see lows of 15. In a sunny Nakuru at 16, and it's 15 and sunny in Nyeri. Highs of 21 and 22 will be the high in Eldoret, where it's sunny at 16. Partly sunny at 24 in Mombasa. Highs of 28 and highs of 29. In a sunny Malindi at 25. Sunny at 20 in Kisumu. Highs of 27 and 19. And sunny in Kakamega, going to highs of 26. Kampala is sunny at 19, highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 29. In a sunny Dar es Salaam at 25. 7 and cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 17, and we'll see highs of 29. In a mostly cloudy Lagos at 25, and it's 22 and cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 29 and lows of 21.
Spice up your life.
Okay, so should be in the middle of it, but most traffic for today seems to have dwindled out. Looking at Jogoo Road is where we'll see a lot of it now. On the Thika Superhighway, done and dusted, not an issue there. Coming off of Wayaki Way today, nothing. We're fine. Limuru Road also is proving that you'll be able to get towards Wangari Maathai or then out towards the CBD in a jiffy without any holdups whatsoever. Where did everybody go? Okay. Hey, Fasha. All right. Let's talk in a bit and see what happens closer to 9. Spice FM KE. Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
3 minutes. This is with regards to use of AI in health research. And we have Sam Macau from the Coalition for Health Research and Development and Henry Okoh from the Africa Population and Health Research Center. You are explaining you're saying we cannot just sit back and be left behind. We've got to participate in this. We've got to get our hands into use of this advanced technology and how it's going to do. I want to just go back to that question. What are the risks? It's okay. It has its own benefits. What are the risks that you've identified so far? Are there any?
Yeah. So, and I'll take you back to some of the myths, some of the fears that people have. We've always feared that artificial intelligence is going to take our jobs. We've always feared that AI is going to take over the world. But far from that, the truth is this. Unlike in any field, the need for regulation, the need for consistent monitoring, right? And if we consider bringing in both technologists and policymakers and civil societies together, whatever our fears are, I think aren't likely and are less likely to even occur. Okay. So, yeah.
Has there been or is there current engagement between the civil society groups that you've spoken about who are directly involved in these processes for education and awareness to the general public? Because we must understand some of the points that you talked about. We're looking at still probably a very traditional way of things like diagnostics. You go in, take your temperature, check your blood pressure, because AI, we know, is also playing in the field of diagnostics. We know this. But you're also dealing with the people who have leaned heavily on the traditional. So what is happening now to educate a society whereby unbelievable results can be gotten by inputting data into a machine and somebody says, come and we'll tell you, and I may not even need to touch you to figure out what's going on? What kind of engagement is going on to make sure that people are getting an understanding of this?
I'd go back to the point of this is an emerging field, especially within the African continent. Unfortunately, AI has not picked as well as it has picked in the West. So what we're trying to do now is, in fact, just capacity building other organizations to understand it, because to be very honest, you'll find that a lot of partners will understand research and development, but will not understand AI and its use and how it comes into the picture. So there's the issue of capacity strengthening the people who actually should be talking about it, so that now they can go into the communities. So as we continue, as we are doing research on how to engage people, we're engaging organizations, the organizations that we work with, our partners, and we're ensuring that they also understand what is their role within enhancing the development of AI and in the use of AI in Kenya.
Okay. Also talking about the risks, and I think that's one thing that we have to still look at it.
Constant thing.
It's a constant thing.
People's minds.
In educating then also about the risks, whether they be minimal, ignorable, or whether they be big and cannot ignore. Is there enough in terms of engagement, in terms of what is actually going on for that kind of knowledge and information sharing?
Yeah. So, and I have to admit, human beings, we have to fear what we don't understand. And the only way to beat the fear is to understand it, right? And so what we are trying to do, even with this platform, is to create this awareness that this is what the technologies can do. This is how the technologies work. And I think when we understand that these technologies totally depend on, garbage in, garbage out. And it totally and they mostly depend on what they are fed. And so if we fed it data that is skewed, we are going to get skewed decisions. We're going to get skewed results. But let's not be afraid of that, because even as they give results at the moment, there is still a second human eye looking at what results has been put out there.
Can I take us back just a little bit, and maybe we can just do again an example of how, for example, in diagnostics, AI is actually working to get an answer that you are looking for. So what would happen? I mean, put us in a clinic, for example, and say, how is this technology being applied that can then give you an answer in medical research, for example? How does this play out?
Okay, so so the Inspire Pitch platform is an example of how it applies, but then in terms of population health, right? But then there are other platforms you've tried.
What is population health?
So population health is general public health. Let me put it that way. Okay. Yeah. So the issues on pandemic and epidemics, when you're thinking about that.
Okay.
Yeah. But then you've interacted with online platforms where you feed in your symptoms, and then you get a diagnosis, right? And then you get so what they're trying to avoid mostly is prescriptions. But I bet in the future we will get there. You always have to go to a doctor to get a prescription, and this is a really simple example of what is already going out there. These things exist. There is, I've forgotten the name of the app, but then there's an app on period tracking. So women can be able to track their periods.
It's called Flow.
Yeah. Using mobile application.
Yes.
And this is actually a simple example of what artificial intelligence can do. Yeah. And so,
but is that AI, or is that just a simple app that has a simple code?
So
this, and then it has asked you how many days is your normal cycle, and start the beginning, and it'll tell you the next one is then
coming the next, and you'll feel this or this at a certain point. Okay.
And that's the point. People
Where
think
is the AI coming in?
People think that AI is this wild animal that's coming from nowhere.
Is it not?
That is where it starts.
Okay.
That is where it starts. It's a combination, and so if you think about data that's now available to the world in big volumes, and then if you think about the analytical capacity of machines, and if you put this together, now you get artificial intelligence. Only that when we are talking about the mobile app, you're thinking about it small scale. A very small analytical capacity with very small data.
Okay, so what
but then
can
when you
it do?
scale it up,
okay, so let's scale it up and give an example, because sometimes you need to imagine what something could do, and maybe you get a little bit more understanding about it, right? So scale it up. What could happen? What could AI do that could be a medical solution for some of the things that we are looking at today?
Okay, now let me give you an example of what. So right now, when we go to the doctor, we are going for treatment. We normally go for treatment, right?
Yeah.
But then think about a world where we can link our day-to-day information, our day-to-day data, with our health facility data, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you have a system that can know, like, you take pizza every day a week, and you take at least a bottle of beer every day a week, then this system, and then it knows what you're predisposed to initially, given your hospital visits. This system should be able to, instead of waiting for you to get ill and go for treatment, it should be able to give you a prevention, to suggest
so you should
prevention
raise the
measures
red
for you.
flags. Because of your lifestyle and the way you're going, you're actually just check your sugar levels today. It's likely to get here.
Yeah, it should tell you should start jogging or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so like today, there's some folks who, you have a smartwatch, right?
Yeah.
If you've sat for a while, it's gonna buzz on your wrist and tell you
get up
and walk.
Keep moving.
Or it's gonna tell you it's time to drink some water. Are those along the lines that we're talking about now?
Those are along the lines of artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And now we have hardware, we have software, and then we have the data that's collected on a daily from how he behaves, how long he sits down, how long he walks.
Yeah. You know, now looking at it from the other level of research, where let's say this machine has access to information, to general health information. Let's say the National Health Information System. So you, as a resident of a certain area, then you go to a doctor, and the doctor basically keys in everything that you're saying. These are my symptoms, this and the other. And then this AI platform is able to look at what other people have reported over the last couple of days with either this physician or other physicians, and it can start raising the flags that we are seeing more and more people in this particular region presenting themselves to a health facility with this symptom. It could be an indicator of one thing or the other. Is at the level now that we could get into with research, and how would this help?
Yeah. Now you're coming to the space of our pitch platform. And now with that, say you have this data, and you can easily see that people are presenting with flu-like symptoms, and these are kind of the prescriptions that are happening, and you know the general population where these people are coming from. Say it's mostly Nairobi. Then with that information, we are able to design interventions. We are able to come up with policy measures and say, okay, now we have this is an outbreak already. Just looking at the numbers, you see this is likely going to be an outbreak. If in a single day we've seen 100 people, and then we are able to respond in record time. We don't have to wait months after the spread, and then after 3 months of it spreading, that's when we realize and say, oh, this thing has been spreading. No, we just need, say within a day or in a couple of weeks, we are able to see, okay, this is turning out to be a pandemic or an epidemic. And now what do? We start coming out with interventions. We start coming up with the policy measures. And now that's now the real potential of AI in the health space, reducing the response time, but also increasing accuracy in decision making.
This discussion that we are having and everything around it, with the bodies that the two of you gentlemen represent, is this discussion and the initiatives and the research process that go with it, is it driven by the local research entities? And if they have partners and people who are assisting, who are they? And what is the agenda? What is the end goal? We are doing all these things. So where are we headed, and what do we hope to see?
If I can go first. So what we are looking at is having an end-to-end pandemic scheme, and I'm happy with where the conversation is going, because when civil society sat down, and this is the global south, so you find that these are countries that traditionally are not part of development of such technology. So the global south, this includes a lot of African countries. So they're coming together and they're saying that they want to develop an end-to-end pandemic scheme that will be able to monitor, monitor the environment, and also prepare for any pandemic. And when there's no pandemic, then the systems are able to prepare for a pandemic. Because I think you've been hearing this a lot, especially from health experts. They're not saying if we are going to have a pandemic, it's only a matter of when we are going to have the next pandemic. So we are trying to see how can we be best prepared and how can our health systems be best prepared to be able to handle such pandemics and epidemics.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I've heard what you've said. Have you answered my question?
Come again with your question.
Ask again.
No, I pick your question on the role of funding institutions and their motivations,
yes, I'm
right?
asking
if it is led from the south.
Yes, that is the question I'm asking.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
So-
it is led by.
Is it really? Are we funding it?
Let me reintroduce APHRC to you, sir. APHRC is an African-based, African-led
African-funded?
research institution.
African-funded?
And I'll tell you one thing one thing about funding is you have to understand the base of it all, right? It doesn't matter who's funding it.
Oh yeah, it
And
does. It does.
I'll tell you why it
Because
doesn't
whoever's
matter.
funding
What
it
matters is
will have a say in. Funding is not bad. Let me start
exactly.
from
That's what
there.
I'm saying.
There's nothing wrong with funding.
There we agree.
And I am merely asking to understand the juggling and the negotiation that has to take place. Okay? If we are funding it, we will control the narrative. If we have partners, we have to include their narrative and what they want. This is really what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm not casting judgment and saying it is a bad thing. I'm saying, in the spirit of understanding, since we're discussing research, then we have to say exactly where we are so that we know how this thing is going to move along.
Yeah, and that's why I say, APHRC, we pride ourselves in engaging with other institutions that have our shared vision, right? And so with that at heart, whatever funding we are getting to drive the space of AI or any other space in research and development has the African interest at heart.
You know my problem with this. Let me explain to you my problem. If our governments do not participate fully, or they are the bigger brother in this, then it means they also don't understand, or they haven't been gotten to understand the benefits and why it is their involvement should be greater. The countries and the partners we deal with already understand this.
Yes.
That's why for them it's, as you say, it's a no-brainer. But for our government, if that is a no-brainer, then this one is a full-brainer, because it's clear they haven't quite gotten it. So the discussion now is, how do we get them to on board so that they also get it and understand?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about things that are going to benefit these poor downtrodden Africans.
Yes.
Okay?
Now, and for sure, we've had quite some support from the Ministry of Health in Kenya, especially with discussions around data, availability of data and access to data, right?
Yes.
But then it takes time. And we understand how government works. It has to be at the core of
I
the...
really do not want to take that route. We cannot excuse whether it's a ministry or government by simply accepting that, that is how they work.
No.
We're talking about human lives and how to ensure that we prevent any harm that may come to them. And the way government works, we understand and know the discussion ought to be, how do we ensure it works better?
Yes, exactly. And at this point, I'll tell you the amount of support and engagement that we've received with the Ministry of Health within projects that are artificial intelligence related, but also outside of those projects. I think it's overwhelming, and it only demonstrates the interest of the government in being part of this.
In discussions, how much money have they put in? Okay.
I cannot comment on that. I do not have any information on that. So, yeah.
Would it demonstrate a desire as well to have more of this technology at hand to be able to diagnose, to be able to prevent, to be able to offer care and treatment within the healthcare? Because if there's an acceptance of these things, then there's probably a show for the desire to make sure some of these things then are covered when it comes to those parameters within healthcare.
Definitely, I think funding demonstrates a desire towards that, and I totally agree with you. It's something that it will really be awesome if we say significant funding of research in artificial intelligence and machine learning comes from African governments, right?
Have you seen how quickly the government buys cars? It means they think it is useful. Do you see how quickly it is that MPs clamor for their salary and we have a budget-making parliament? It means they know it's important. I'm simply arguing and saying that when people say they are serious about something, they put money into it. And I think I've said what I want to say on that particular subject.
I actually have to agree with you on that point, both of you. The first point is that the government, we work very closely with the government when it comes to doing advocacy around R&D. As a coalition, we've worked very closely with the ministry. But I have to agree with you when we say that when you find something valuable, you need to put your money where your mouth is. So it's true. We do work closely with the government to advocate for more resources towards research and development, but that's not the only issue that we're advocating for. We're also talking about ring fencing this money to ensure that it actually goes to R&D, because if you look at the budget, there is money that is allocated to R&D.
Right. How much is it? What percentage is it of our GDP?
I will confirm that, but I know
it keeps reducing. It started at 2%. It's a fraction of 2% now. So does that indicate seriousness to you?
Yeah, when it comes to financing in the health sector,
Sam is about to say.
It's a very sensitive topic. It's a very sensitive topic. But we are looking at, for the funds that are currently here, can we ensure that it is working before we start advocating for more money?
So it's the kind of thing like to whom, if you're given a little and you can be entrusted with that to make sure that this thing actually makes sense, then in the time whereby maybe the seriousness matches the amount of funding, then you can say, look, we've already proven where this has taken us from.
Yes.
We've already shown what it can do, and because of that we can now get to a place whereby it's untold the kinds of things that you can do, again, for those issues of prevention and care, treatment, information and knowledge and understanding.
Yeah. And as advocates, it is our responsibility to create that appetite, because the government will do what the government does. It is an unliving entity. It will just operate the way it operates. It is our job as advocates to show the need and the importance of having R&D and what it does to communities. Then the government will see the need of putting more money into R&D and also ensuring that the money actually goes to R&D and not to other things.
Yeah, and like I mentioned at the start, that you'll think AI has these two important components: the analytical capacity and the data. And if you imagine the amount of data that we generate as a population at the time, it's mostly because the government has made it possible. If you think previously, there was quite some information, but very little digitized, and even amongst the ones that have not been digitized, there was still like very little. But then if you think at the moment, there's a lot of information out there, mostly enabled by the government. If you could go to KNBS and you'll get a lot of statistics that could help you develop systems that could make health decisions for the better of the population. And so while the funding is important, really necessary, really urgent, there's also the other bit, not the hard cash that's coming in, but the contribution towards with the enabling data availability and so forth. So
that's already a big thing.
Yeah, that's equally a big thing.
You know, the government just recently ratified AMA, which ensures that we create a conducive environment for pharmaceutical manufacturing within the country. That is a step. It might not be direct contribution of funds into R&D, but that is a step that ensures that the environment is friendlier to such responses and interventions in health.
So it allows this to happen.
Yeah.
Is Inspire Pitch, in just about 30 seconds as we conclude, Inspire Pitch is already rolled out. It's operational.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's operational. It's being used by PHRC in health research in Africa.
Yeah.
In Kenya as well. Okay. It was good to just get that out there. Henry, thank you very much for joining us. Henry Okoh is the Monitoring, Evaluation and Research Officer and also Data Protection Officer with the African Population and Health Research Center. Sam Macau is a Communications Co-Chair with the Coalition for Health Research and Development. We've been talking about artificial intelligence technology and how this can be used and accelerated for use in research, in health research across the African continent. Keep it here for more conversations. More coming up in the next hour. It's now 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
This is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Global Advisory Board member and advocacy within the Youth Energy Summit, Nadia Ahmed, has called on companies that give young people the opportunity to get internship training to ensure they give them letters to show their experience during the period they served. Nadia, who has also been the Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Communication, Technology and Youth Affairs, said that these credentials are important, especially when the youth are looking for employment.
Kitu cha kwanza, ikiwa kijana ameweza kwenda shule, amalize shule, apate karatasi, maanake karatasi zinasaidia. Number 2, ikiwa unaweza kupata hizi experience, ufanye experience. Ukishapata ile experience, ile kampuni ambayo imekuandika, waambie wakupatie certificate pia zinasaidia.
Nadia further emphasized the need for an alternative way for young people to find employment, including using technology and innovation instead of waiting for more than 6 months for volunteer jobs.
Lazima wapitie, lakini si sana. Ikiwa kuna njia nyingine rahisi wanaweza kutumia, why not? Wanaweza kusaidiwa. Sasa let's say wakiwa wanafanya volunteership, wanaweza kukaa 3 months, miezi 3 instead of miezi 6. So hiyo 3 months waweze kujiendeleza kwa mambo ya uvumbuzi, waweze kutumia teknolojia vingine na waweze kujijenga.
The 1.5 billion shillings land case involving Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and a former lands official failed to kick off after the court was informed parties are engaged in an out-of-court settlement. Gachagua's lawyer Moses Kisilu told Justice Joseph Mboya there is a consensus that the case be pushed to a later date pending the talks. In the case, both Gachagua and the complainant are laying claim to a property and have gone to the extent of producing witnesses to swear that they each acquired the property in a legitimate manner. The matter was pushed to October 31st. 45 more bodies exhumed from the Shakahola forest during the third phase of the exercise are yet to undergo autopsy. Government pathologist Johansen Odor says so far, out of the 94 bodies, more than 19 were decomposed, making it hard for them to determine the cause of death.
We've done a total of 22 autopsies. 13 of these were female, while 5 were male. 4 of them we were unable to determine the gender due to the level of deterioration of the bodies. The majority of the bodies we did autopsy on today were children, because we found 14 children. 7 were adults. 1 of them we were unable to determine the age because of the level of deterioration also. We are only able to determine starvation on 3, while 19 of them, because of the deterioration, we were unable to determine the cause of death because they had already decomposed. Between yesterday and today, we've done a total of 49 bodies. We have 45 remaining. The more the bodies stay out there, the more it becomes very, very difficult to determine cause of death. Because remember, these are bodies which have been buried without any form of preservation being done on them. So you find that the more they stay there, the more they decompose. As far as I know, the process is ongoing at the government chemist in form of people who have not gotten their relatives.
The Labour Court has suspended the decision made by IG Japheth Koome to promote 514 police officers pending the hearing of the case challenging the procedure. In the case, Senator Okia Omtata and activist Michael Otieno challenged the promotions made by Koome, arguing that they were illegal. In his ruling, Justice Byram Mongaya further stated the implementation of the memo by Koome prohibiting police officers from applying to fill the 514 vacancies is already advertised in the press by the National Police Service Commission. The court has also ordered the National Police Service to immediately convene a meeting of all parties in the case to amicably consider resolving the dispute. The case will be mentioned on Thursday next week. And in the international scene, exiled Chinese human rights activist Tang Bao has apologized to a female journalist in Taiwan as the Me Too movement picks up momentum there. The woman claims Mr. Tang tried to rape her during a work-related trip in 2016. In a statement released by his office, Mr. Tang said the rape allegations were baseless but apologized. He said the encounter was a clumsy courtship and not an attack. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
94.4 Spice FM.
Looking much better this morning at about 5 after 9 o'clock. Most of the traffic disappeared and it's been fantastic to see. We also know that, less vehicles on the roads is probably going to lead to this. Naivasha Road, getting towards Gong Road and then coming out towards Riara Road, out towards James Gishuru Laser. Not an issue there. Looking much better also coming off of the Thika Superhighway. That ended really quickly. But then we're seeing some increased traffic coming in from Limuru Road, in from United Nations Avenue. That still continues. But as you come down from the Teachers Training College out towards Muthaiga and then on towards Wangari Maathai, where you should be all right. Not going to cause any issues there whatsoever. Into Landis Road from Jogo Road, however, that's different. We're looking at heavy traffic as you approach the roundabout there. Okay. Apart from that, it looks like we're coming out of traffic hour earlier than usual. I think we did in some parts. Let's talk through the morning, however, on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room,
7 after 9.
the only way to start your day.
App, you should. Please make sure that you do. It's simple. You just go to the Play Store, App Store, you look for it, you find it, press, download, install. It installs. After you install it, you register. It's a simple registration process. Just put in your name and your contact details and contact details of somebody who would be your, in case of emergency, contact. And that's it. So when you have an emergency, you go to the app and you raise the 911 group. From the app, they'll be able to attend to you immediately. That's how good it is. And that's why you should embrace the 911 group app. Download it today, install it on your phone. Thank me later. City.
Yes, please.
Please remind us for the last time the day's proverb. The original one. Or you want to re-edit?
No.
Okay.
The original one is actually good.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really, 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 really good.
Really, really? Really.
Good fortune doesn't like the roar of a lion.
Good fortune doesn't like the roar of a lion. Yeah. That one has had very many interpretations today.
That's a good thing.
Many changes.
Many edits. Many interpretations to the edits. Aye. Many edits to the interpretations.
That's called Kenyanization.
But it's this is now the embodiment of a Kenyan proverb. Yeah. It's open to discussion.
They say, okay, now can we change it, please?
Yeah.
So this doesn't quite suit.
This doesn't make sense.
Let's just change it so that it can make sense for us.
You just move a few words that are up and down and delete, add, then you say, okay, now read it. Yeah,
now
that sounds
okay.
like
now that's a proverb.
Right.
Now it makes sense. Many things that are happening, in fact, reported in the papers today. Let's just look at more interesting stories.
So, There's a story we talked about, I think it was months ago now, and this was about, salvaging of donkeys in Kenya, right?
Yes.
And so
not our numbers, the donkeys' numbers in Kenya were dwindling. Yes.
And so what happened as a result of those dwindling of numbers? Abattoirs were shut.
Yes.
Because abattoirs did exist then, for donkeys.
Yes.
Now, locals are a bit upset because the cabinet secretary, excuse me, Mithika Linturi last week talked about the reopening of donkey abattoirs. Now, residents have rejected plans by the national government to reopen a Chinese-owned donkey slaughterhouse in Mogotio. The plan was announced by Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi last week. Before it was closed 3 years ago, the 300 million shilling abattoir owned by Goldox Kenya Limited slaughtered 400 donkeys a day, mainly for their hides and bones. 400 per day in this one abattoir, okay? Not for their meat, because yes, but mostly for their hides and skins that they were then exported to do other things.
Meat as well, right?
Yeah, but in this case, the hides and bones were exported to China, where the hides are used to make a popular medicine. So they were really not interested in the meat as this abattoir. They were interested in the flesh, rather in the skins and the bones. The meat then would be used for other things other people would buy.
And therefore medicinal purposes.
Exactly.
All right.
Now, the abattoir was set up after receiving government approval on April 1st, 2015, targeting China, Russia and Far East countries where donkey products are in high demand. However, the government ordered the closure of the slaughterhouses following concerns about the declining donkey population and increasing cases of theft to meet demand for the export market. The ban came into effect in February 2020. Apart from Golodox, other abattoirs that have been shut down are Star Brilliant Abattoir in Maragushu, Naivasha, Shilza in Turkana, and Fuai Machakos Trading Company Limited, which slaughtered about 1,000 donkeys a day, according to government records. Last week, Linturi said he would expedite the reopening of the abattoir once he receives a report from the government on how it should operate, noting that it was a source of employment for hundreds and made revenue by the government. He said he would ensure that the facility complied with government regulations to pave way for its reopening. Area MP Ruben Kiborek had appealed to the government to reopen the abattoir, saying many people were left jobless after it closed its doors. So now, the question is, do you want to give some time to create...
To repopulate
exactly the donkeys, or do you want to say, no, our people do not have jobs, so let us reopen these abattoirs?
What has happened since the time when the government ordered closure, or basically just said, let's freeze the slaughter of donkeys? What interventions were put in place to increase the population?
That would be very interesting.
Is there a breeding program that we have, for example, that says, the way you have agricultural extension officers, Girigashas, coming to do AI for cows?
Well done.
Is there anyone who's doing AI for donkeys?
That's interesting, but not government instituted or run or led. Okay, there are international organizations, non-state actors, NGOs who come in to do this. We had a lady here who talked about.
But were they doing breeding, or are they just doing creating awareness?
They were creating awareness, and then they talked about being able to get more funding in the future, whereby they would go into breeding programs. So it's futurely aspirational that hopefully it can be done. But in terms of making sure that you create a population that you can then go on and slaughter, there's nothing like that. And my mind goes to Japan in the whaling, and the big tuna fishing. It's a huge part of their diet, huge part of their exports in terms of seafood. But what do? 9 months of the year, you cannot fish. Why? Because it is at that time that the fish then are breeding. They're breeding. Huge populations are coming. Then they say, okay, fine. Window opened, go ahead. Because we know that there will be too much. Now you can go ahead. But now we don't want a situation where we're allowing you to either whale or fish the whole year. And then we have dwindling populations. Government-led policy, government-led guaranteed guidelines set out in how this is supposed to happen. Now, when Mithika Linturi says that he is going to make sure that this abattoir opens, number one, and number two, they're going to follow government guidelines in terms of slaughtering. What are those? is my question.
The government guidelines are,
What are you don't have? And interestingly enough,
don't
the
slaughter a donkey at night.
The people in Mogotio right now are saying, actually, we have a problem with this. Yes, we know that we don't have jobs, but at the end of the day, this beast of burden, we don't have enough. Now, it's finished.
It could be something that you say, if for you to get a license to operate a donkey abattoir, then you must also have a program that seeks to increase the population of donkeys. So you should have a breeding program. You should have all these things so that you're dealing with your value chain. Secure your value chain, and then you secure the license. If you don't do that, forget about it. Because you see, slaughtering of donkeys is not in any community in this country. There's no community that uses donkey skin, donkey bone, donkey meat. It's a few, and it's far in between. So the thing about, large-scale production of donkeys
in Kenya is purely for export.
Yeah.
It is purely for export, and that's just
in Kenya, donkeys are just beasts of burden. And you just need one or two donkeys and you're okay.
Yeah.
How often, and I asked this question even those many years ago, how often do you actually come across a pregnant donkey?
Well, I haven't really stopped to see and check and see.
Have you
if
ever
this particular one. Let me just have a look and see if it's pregnant. No, interestingly, no. And I hear what you're saying. If this is to be a thing, right? Because if we're looking at this part of the world regionally, yes, you do have this beast of burden resident here. If you look at world topography, right, and you look at where we lie here in East Africa, you will find that there will be an increased population of donkeys because of the terrain and the geography. That's just the way it is. Why you find certain animals more in plenty. Now, if you've decided that because of the plentiful resource, as it were, that you are going to have these abattoirs, you should actually then institute a breeding program, whereby if you know that it is going to bring you some kind of revenue, by virtue of the fact that you have them, you don't want to run out of the resource. So you need to have windows so that you have open season, closed season, so that you can continue to breed. Because like you said, there are no communities here who use their hides and skins. There are no communities here who use their bones for anything. That has already been established that it is an external factor that plays on the internal operation. So if you're going to have that, have a breeding
sort
program.
it out. And even at the point when we were talking about opening up abattoirs for donkeys, our donkey population was less than 2 million.
Yes. And there are people who are slaughtering up to 1,000 a day.
Yeah. By the time they were shutting it down, we were at about 600,000 donkeys. And that is just the average. It probably was even less than that. So it's a big thing. I mean, we cannot just say it open because people need jobs. No, they can't. It's not about the jobs.
Everything is about jobs, my friend. Especially for the downtrodden and for the mama mboga na wananchi wa kawaida. Everything
vijana wapate nafasi za ajira.
Yes, everything is about it. At least it's explained that way.
Yeah, it won't work. Our president is in Paris, France. And, he's been doing something lately. So there's a meeting that has been organized by Emmanuel Macron, the president of France.
Oh, it's a climate change leaders meeting.
The Global Financial Pact Summit, that particular one, the Global Financial Pact. The president called for engineering of the engagement between the West, the international financial institutions, to make them more responsive to the needs of Africa. He's been on this bullish move when it comes to issues of international finance and the structure of international finance and also structure of international diplomacy. Remember the other day he was talking about the setup of the United Nations, saying the Security Council basically is controlled by these 5 permanent members and the rest of you, you just come in, you have a token seat, we give you a token chairperson. And remember the time when we were the chair and we spoke strongly against the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Can you imagine if you had done the opposite? Imagine if our man at the United Nations Security Council had actually said, you know what, the West should keep off Ukraine.
This is an internal affair between the two countries. Let them fight it out and arrive at a point where they have an understanding.
Yeah, let the winner carry the...
My friend.
Yeah.
That should have gone down well.
On this one, the president is basically saying Africa can no longer be seen as just a continent that needs help, but as a partner, and that the globe cannot continue talking normally when things are not going forward. At one point, there was a back and forth exchange between Ruto and President Macron as the president insisted things must be done differently. He said, new financial order will help the world overcome poverty and climate change, noting that the financial architecture must be of equals. Resources should neither be controlled by the World Bank nor the IMF. Africa does not want anything for free, but we need a new global financial model where power is not in the hands of a few. We all have fair access to resources. And he kept quoting what the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres had said earlier in the day at the same meeting, where he was talking about, look, for example, in the COVID era and the COVID recovery era, if you look at how countries accessed funds from the World Bank, when African countries were collectively getting access to about 3 billion, Europe, African continent with over 1 billion people, Europe collected 8 times more, and the population is about 8 times less. I said,
Yes, that's the truth, isn't it? But why is it the truth? You see, what the president is saying makes absolute sense. But it would make more sense if we asked ourselves the question, what do you as a nation do in order for people to take you seriously? So that when you speak, they know it's not just a speech, that what you say has to be given due consideration as you would other nations that are considered serious. And I would argue that the reason why some of these so-called first world nations are taken seriously is because, one, they have the might, they have the economic and financial might. And also, there is a way in which they run their countries that guarantee that you cannot speak and say that they do not look after the interest of their citizens.
And it is not concurrent, it is pre-established.
Yes.
That system whereby livelihoods have already been taken care of.
Yes.
That system whereby you're not going to have to ask, are your children going to school in your country? Is there healthcare available in your country? Is this available? It is not concurrent, it is pre-established. So by the time they're coming to stand on the world stage, guess what? All these things have already been done. So when they bark, you understand, hey, the bite is just as serious.
And plus, they have money that they can spare to lend you. Okay? So, when you're talking about seriousness, they are there. Now, let's start with what we can do. Looking after the interest of our people.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
It is not that you cannot speak. You must. But to be taken seriously, there are certain things you must do. And I'm saying, right now, are we saying that this particular government is actually doing everything in its...
We cannot introduce that conversation at this particular point, CT.
Why?
You know, that conversation, the way you're bringing it, it presupposes that that is a counter-argument to what the president is saying.
It's not a counter-argument.
If it's not a counter-argument, then why introduce it?
I'm introducing it because it's just an argument. It doesn't have to be a counter-argument.
Because, you see, what the president is saying is, look at the structure and the organization of the global financial system.
Yes.
The organization of this global financial system is structured in such a way that this guy who has the advantage retains his advantage.
Yes.
And he uses that advantage to keep you suppressed.
Yes.
Okay? Now, one of the reasons why you're not able to provide all these things is because you also are suppressed financially.
True. That is not true.
How are you accessing this credit? If this person is able to access credit, right? Is able to access credit to make sure that he can build hospitals and schools and other social facilities for his people. Are you also able to access the credit the same way?
No.
Equitably?
No.
And that is the argument.
The argument.
I want to be able to provide social services. I want to be able to provide schools and hospitals and roads and railways and airports and open up infrastructure for my people. But for me to do this,
Eric,
this is a capital intensive.
What?
Capital. Where is the capital coming from? Capital is coming from this global financial system, which is skewed against me.
Of course it is skewed. I am simply saying, beyond saying this is what we need to do, for you to be able to access it, you need to be in a certain position. We are not. That's really all I'm saying.
Yes, for us to be able to get the Mkoloni out, we needed to be at a certain position.
Yes, and we were.
Yes, and our position was not given to us. Our position was not okay. So you.
So
can
now,
you
why
drive
do we
a-
want to be
can-
given
Can you
if
can
we
you
started
drive a
off by
car?
not being given? Why now do we want to be given?
We are
Why
not being
don't-
given.
Why don't we position ourselves so that when we make that demand, we are actually able to receive it?
Let's go back to where the origin of this financial global system actually began. 1944, going into 1945. The end of the Second World War, when most of Western Europe was in an absolute mess. Britain was zero, it was nothing.
They had bombed themselves. out.
themselves, finished.
The Europeans.
Germany was below zero.
Thank you. Then some good folks sat around the table and they came up with what they called the Marshall Plan, right? Essentially, what it was supposed to do was to rebuild parts of Europe, more specifically Western Europe, where the countries that you see today who are shouting the loudest, Great Britain, France, on this side of the Mediterranean, okay? So they said, we now have some money. Where they got the money from, usually, if we want to be very honest with ourselves, a lot of the money and a lot of the capital resource that they were then able to use to come up with the Marshall Plan and fund the Marshall Plan came from their colonial exploits around the world. The surplus, after they had pre-established these systems, is what they were now using to say, see, we have money, let's help you rebuild. The people that they helped rebuild, if you want to be, will continually be subservient to them. But the truth of the matter is that it was their fund. It was their money. They're able to dictate what they will do because they're the ones who came and saved the world with this money. That is where
saved their world.
Saved their world with the money. That was the origin of the financial institutions that we talk about today. From the idea of the Marshall Plan is where you had the Bretton Woods institutions of the World Bank and the IMF. All of those were formed from there. Now, will you now come and tell them how you people formed your thing? I am now insisting that if you're going to lend money to this and this other person, I insist that it also be skewed to me in a particular way.
Yes.
After all, we're dealing with the globe. And I say, yes, it cannot be that you decide that today we're going to have it this way for you and not this way for somebody else. Yes. You are the globe saver. Saving the globe.
They have
That was
co-opted us into
Saving
it.
the world.
They have co-opted us into this system. But then they want to control the system. Absolutely no.
You've decided that is the order that the world will go. You've decided that's the order that the world will go. But then some players are more equal than others. Come on.
You want to take human rights to the global stage, isn't it?
Yes.
And you want to say we are equal as humans.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work out that way.
But it works for them.
Of course it does.
They use that same argument of human rights and everything to also use it as a factor of how they are going to give you access to this money. They can wake up one day and basically impose sanctions on you as a country.
Not they can. They
because
do it
they
all
don't
the
like
time.
the face of CT Muga, who is the
They've
head of
just
this
decided
country.
that they are the
decide
world's
everybody in this
headmaster.
country will not have access to financial
Yes.
and that just cripples.
Yes.
And
say the other thing, I'll still agree with you and say
And they're the
yes.
same people who come and tell you, after they destroyed the world's carbon footprint by industrializing at the rate at which they did, they want to come and tell you now as countries that actually, you people should come slowly, do it a little bit, don't do so much after you've already destroyed the
Now
thing.
you as an African, on the African continent, if we talk about carbon credit, you have the hugest advantage about this carbon credit because you have a lot of credit with that carbon. You know why?
Yes.
You are not industrialized, so you can't go around polluting.
And they're trying to tell you,
cannot.
And I think that's what Eric is saying. You cannot go about. Who are you to then make the guidelines and the rules?
No. We had agreed that's what they're already doing, and I'm saying, when we see the efforts that can be made so that we have a stronger voice, okay? The minerals, the natural resources that you speak of, that help build these nations that were colonizers, they didn't finish everything.
Still there, okay?
Yes. So, to have a voice, it means you have to have a certain position beyond speaking. This is really what I'm saying. What are we doing so that we have that might? What do? We try and form after, okay? Africa Free Trade,
Area.
yes, we try and form East African Community. Not form, reform. It existed. And it existed in a form where this shilling we speak of in East African countries was convertible. The shilling was a shilling. Now, we lost that, so that's history. The might that we need to be able to speak has to be one where that one voice represents not only our aspirations, but also our might. We are not helpless. This is the point I'm trying to make.
Very good.
We are not helpless. Now, how do we get to a point where we can actually run our own business?
Very good. Now, you see that message, that what you're saying? That's what President William Ruto has actually been saying.
No, that's not what
he
he's saying.
has said it with African parliamentarians when he met them in South Africa. He has said it with the Djibouti parliament when he went to Djibouti the other day. That's the message he was saying, that as Africans, we have got to work together. We've got to come together. And then when he goes and meets these people, he goes and tells them, you people, by the way, things have got to change. While back home he's saying, we've got to raise our leverage. We've got to raise our leverage by working together. We've got to raise our leverage by saying we are 1 billion plus people. We are not 54 countries. We are 1 billion plus people coming from 54 countries in Africa. But we speak one voice.
We don't, though.
That's what he's saying. Let's do that.
And we won't.
Let's play our leverage.
Pourquoi?
Because n'est-ce pas? If you ask me a question in French, I must go to the archives and dig out any French phrase I know. Whether it makes sense or not is irrelevant.
It's actually very good.
Yes.
Okay, it's 9:30. Let's take a break. Time for weather, traffic and business, Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll open up the phone lines. Let's hear from you. So President William Ruto speaking yesterday in Paris at this very, very big global financial pact summit. And he was saying we have, and it's not the first time he said it there, he has said it elsewhere. He said we have got to reorganize the global financial system. It has got to serve everybody the same way. We cannot just be the ones who are treated there as small people. And
because we are small.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's that time again when we get to gather around and marvel at the great engineering, raw power, finesse, and sharing our round motor love for motoring at the annual Digger Motor Show 2023. From car lovers, bike enthusiasts, spare part dealers, insurance, as well as asset financiers, and more, this year's Digger Motor Show will be one for the books. We're talking a whole 4-day event from Thursday 20th to Sunday 23rd at KICC Grounds, Nairobi, where we will have something for everyone, so you better not miss out. Get the family, bring your friends, and share in the joys that will give you lasting memories and an experience you're bound to not forget. For more information or participation, contact Caroline on 0723 803601 or email sinyandiaka@standardmedia.co.ke. Digger Motor Show 2023 is brought to you by Standard Group and Digger Motors and is powered by Spice FM.
Have you ever imagined that you could turn your phone into a personal security companion? 911 Group Limited has created exactly that for you. Tune into the Situation Room from 6 to 10 a.m. and learn more about the 911 security app and know how you can turn your mobile phone into a panic alarm system today. You can also download the app from Google Play Store and enjoy the experience. 911 Group app. Peace of mind. Conditions in Nairobi, 15 degrees, highs of 20 and lows of 14, and we'll see lows of 15, and a mostly sunny Nakuru at 18, going to highs of 25. 21 will be the high in Nyeri, where it's cloudy at 16 and down to lows of 14, and it's sunny at 17. In Eldoret, highs of 22 and lows of 13. It's partly sunny in Mombasa, highs of 28 and lows of 24, and we'll see highs of 29 and lows of 25 in Malindi. The sun is up in Kisumu. It will go to highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 26 in Kakamega, where it's sunny currently at 21. It's also 21 and partly sunny in Kampala, highs of 25. Dar es Salaam will see highs of 29. It's currently sunny at 27. 7 and cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 17 and lows of 6. Cloudy conditions at 24 in Lagos with highs of 29. 29 will also be the high in a partly sunny Kinshasa at 22. And looking into a very sunny Beijing at 37, going into early evening. Friday, highs of 38 and lows of 26. At 17, Paris is sunny this morning, highs of 28, and London will see highs of 27 through a partly cloudy Friday. It's 19 and cloudy Thursday night in New York. Coming into Friday, highs of 24 and lows of 19.
When the engine revs, will you be ready to get all that petrol head enthusiasm at this year's annual Digger Motor Show? Well, you better belt up and make your way to KICC from the 20th to the 23rd of July 2023 for a wholesome 4-day event. Come and join car lovers, bike enthusiasts, spare part dealers, insurance as well as asset financiers and more for what will be an unforgettable experience by far. We are going all out to make it a great show for you and the whole family with something for everyone, so you better not miss out. For more information or participation, contact Caroline on 0723803601 or email cnyandiaka@standardmedia.co.ke. Digger Motor Show 2023 is brought to you by Standard Group and Digger Motors and is powered by Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
Lots of traffic hour by the tick-tock of the clock, and we'll see just a little bit left of it as you're trying to go then from Muthaiga Square either towards Wangari Maathai Way, or you're going to follow Pangani and touch on Muranga Road getting into the CBD. Huru Highway after the Nyayo Stadium roundabout, you'll see some traffic as it gets out into the CBD, but after that you should be fine. A little bit of movement here and there in different parts, but nothing like a hold-up of traffic anywhere you look this morning. Outbound traffic coming out of Westlands is probably something to look for, and we're still seeing some misty conditions as you're getting out towards Limuru. Through the day, let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Unright, 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
We continue 14 minutes to 10. We want to hear from you as well. 0719-012-600. The phone line's working, Ednah. Okay, 0719-012-600. Let's hear from you. The president has been talking, and not just yesterday in Paris. He's also been talking and saying the same things when he spoke in Malawi the other day at the Commerce Summit. Said the same thing. When he met the African parliamentarians in South Africa a couple of months ago, same. When he went to Djibouti and spoke to address the parliament of Djibouti, same.
He's now
here, when he's been speaking at various platforms here.
When the United Nations launched the climate report,
same.
Paris.
Same.
Eric.
Yes?
You know, the president has an opportunity like no other president has had in this country, in this sense. With all the issues we've had, it's a new dawn. And he's at the beginning of his term. Now, that narrative that you say he's pushing, it is a wonderful narrative. But do you know what the so-called West and these people who supposedly lend us money speak and say of us? That we mismanage whatever it is we are given. We do the very things we shouldn't do with it.
Condescending attitude.
Absolutely. Then do not borrow if you don't want the borrower to condescend. If you haven't borrowed, there's nothing to consent to. The point is...
Sinalipa.
The point is...
even when you lend me, because you have lent me, yes, and then you come and say, but you misused, are you saying that I should not repay because I've misused?
Actually,
so I'm still repaying.
Actually, you've gotten the heart of the matter, and it's not just a question of paying. What is it that determines? What are the parameters? What are the indicators of a person who is taken seriously? You will be told a person who does this, a person who does this, a person huyu mzee anajua kuchunga watu wake, anajua kufanya nini. In an African sense, it's simple. Huyu anajua watu wameenda shule, wanavaa viatu, that one, okay? Na pia anachunga wazazi. I'm simply saying that these Western countries have done that.
Not all governments. Okay, Western countries, yes, but not all administrations. Have you ever had the World Bank having to pull back from supporting any Western country because the current prime minister or the current president is unpopular with the people because of the kind of
I've
measures
never heard. What have they done
exactly the same thing.
I've never heard. They just reject things. As you're speaking, I was thinking of Greece and I'm thinking some of the problems they had. And I'm thinking of how they said, okay, now this one is not working, let's look at it. Eric,
let's help you.
I agree with you completely. You see, the opportunity I'm saying our president has is to grow that muscle from within. When you have that muscle, even as you're speaking, you know very well that should you decide you're not giving me money, I will tell you it is okay, don't.
Okay, so what you're saying essentially, if I may put words in your mouth this Friday.
Please.
Let me put. You're saying that what it should look like is, let's take the Rwandese example, whereby Kagame is not taking any nonsense from anybody. He's going to do the things the way in which he wants to do. So when he sits opposite Macron and they have a conversation and he'll say, excuse me, I didn't come to ask you for anything. My people are sorted out. We are moving forward. You cannot come and then tell me what to do. Is that what you're saying? You are saying that by the time you want to go and stand in the village square and tell people how to do 1, 2, 3, you should make sure that in your house, your children have gone to school, that there is food, that your wife is not complaining that Okeke didn't give her chicken.
But I want money to facilitate me to do all these things, Bwana. That's why I'm coming to you. I want money so that I can take my children to school.
Eric,
you can't tell me what to talk about agenda.
Even as
but that because I've given you this money, or I've given you money, then you still come and tell me I gave you money and then your children are not in school. I gave you money and your wife is outside complaining that somebody didn't give her chicken. That should not be. I have given you this money. I should then now tell you how you should use the money.
I am simply saying something very simple.
Let's go to the phone lines. Karanja in Naivasha.
Good morning, Kidu and City.
Good morning, Karanja.
I'm very fine.
Wait, Karanja, switch off your radio, Bwana.
Karanja, it is you who has called. Tell us, Bwana. You're going ahead. Okay, uko mzima lakini Karanja.
Yes, uko mzima, but let me switch off.
Okay. John Joroge in Mombasa, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I think I have to agree with the fountain of wisdom, Mr. City. When we go and get those loans from IMF and World Bank,
yes,
there are conditions.
Yes.
And we agree to those conditions.
Yes.
If one day we sit here and we say we don't need those loans anymore, who will be there to contest us? If any country wants to be taken seriously, look at what China have done. Nobody's messing with China.
Did they access World Bank loans at any point, China, in the last 30 years?
I don't have that history, but I know they have grown massively.
Yes, but they have also accessed World Bank funding in those 30 years of their rapid development.
But it's human nature to always look at people depending on what they have. If you are poor and a beggar, nobody will take you seriously. And charity begins at home. If the little budget we have right here in Kenya, we can make use of it and start doing things for ourselves, I believe this other country will start taking note that these people are growing.
John, let me ask you.
Yes, ask me.
The resources that we have.
Yes.
Are you saying that we should be able to actually develop, grow our infrastructure, sort out our healthcare, sort out our education system, we build dams and do roads without borrowing from this country?
What I can say is, if today you get fired from your job, you go and apply something we call austerity measures in your home. You live according to your means.
Yes.
And the money that you go and get out there, make sure that money is directed to the things it's supposed to do, but not go to people's bellies.
Okay.
It's more than enough what we have. If you look at the amount of money that's collected by the KRA and the other money that's collected by courts as fines, by cabs, all that money, where does it go to? How can you be still in your own country and then you go to those people and try to dictate to them how they should treat you?
Because it's not their money. It's not.
Yes, it's their money.
I'm also contributing to it.
Yes?
I am part of this chama. I am a member
Yeah.
of the chama. You cannot tell me that I am a member of the chama, but then me, when it comes to me borrowing, you start telling me, oh, you must wear 2 black shoes, oh, you must do this. And the other members of the chama, you can come barefoot and wearing sandals.
There are 2 options when they tell you to do this. You don't want to do, right? You can decide either to leave it or take it.
Sawa, we hear you. Thank you, John.
You're most welcome.
Asante sana. Karanja?
Yes, I'm back again. Eh?
Very good. It's better now.
Yes, now, let me say this.
Yes.
I don't see the need for our president to go to France to borrow money. Given the fact that a lot of money which was stolen here in Kenya, they are being backed outside. They are being stacked outside. What does that money do? Number one, look, Eric, we have the golden bag scandal here.
Yes.
Golden bag scandal, yeah?
Yes.
Agrorism scandal, yes?
Yes.
Triton scandal, yes?
Yes.
Now, why do we have an ambassador to Kenya, France ambassador to Kenya here? Why do we have American ambassador to Kenya here? Why do you have UK ambassador to Kenya here? These people should help us to trace those money where they are being hidden in those banks, in foreign banks, and bring back them here. In order for the Kenyans, in fact, if I was a president for Kenya today, I could use those visits to go there and lobby and ask those people where those money are being stacked there to bring back here to Kenya so that we cannot continue borrowing to them. Maybe we are borrowing our money there.
All right. It could be the same money that we're borrowing. What has comes here, gets stolen, goes there, we'll borrow.
Yes, exactly. I think that is in fact that should be, maybe that is something that is meandering here and there. That's why you see each and every time that we go there, we beg. Another thing that Eric, which is very important, that I should even ask our president to stop saying. I saw him in South Africa the other day. You know, he should not. You know, these Western people, they are very tricky. Yeah. You know, there was a guy called Muammar Gaddafi. You know what happened to Gaddafi? There was this guy, another called him Mugabe for Zimbabwe. You see, we should be very careful when we are talking to the Western people, Bwana. Thank you.
Thank you, Karanja. Wairimo in California, USA. Good morning. For us,
yes,
good morning.
Good morning, my favorite morning trio.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. I agree with CT, like all the others. The president has been showboating. That's what I'd call it. Like the other caller said, all these embassies that are in our country, they see how we live. They see all these motorcades. They see all the choppers. They don't see that in their own countries. In America, the governor here doesn't travel the way these people do. My mayor lives in my same neighborhood, into a kawaida. You go jogging the same places. They don't have all these hundreds of security around them. So if people see how we're using money, they are looking at what our president is doing as a joke. They'll give him the platform to rope himself up, but this is a joke. I mean, you can't walk into your bank today and start giving them conditions. You know that loan that I signed for this? Oh, no, I can't. We need to renegotiate and start telling them all kinds of things. No, you knew what you were doing when you took the loan.
Wairimo, are you saying there's nothing wrong with the global financial system? The way it's structured?
Well, beggars cannot make the rules. As Ndu was saying, what Kagame is doing is the right thing. If you don't want to be seen as a beggar, change the way you do your things. We can't hear of this billion-shilling these situations happening there, the corruption in Kenya right now, and then we are going to tell these people, oh, we need more money. Oh, that corruption money? No, don't look over there. No. Give us 20 years. Give us more time to eat. You know, the world is not stupid. Does he think the CIA doesn't have a file on it? You know, he needs to think, and I don't know why he's doing this, but it doesn't make sense.
Because he wants justice.
These people...
Because he wants justice. Because he wants justice. That's why he's doing this. That's why he's talking like this. He's saying, look, we have got to be
Justice
treated
to do
different.
what? To steal?
Not to steal, to access
To
money.
steal?
You see, let's start with the issue of access. To access money, we cannot say that at the point when you're talking about COVID recovery, you're only accessing an eighth of what others are accessing.
But our situation was not as bad as other countries. And then how did we use our money? A lot of it was stolen. We have the money. It's the way we spend it.
Okay.
It's the way we spend it.
We hear you.
You know, how can we be spending 8.5 million at State House and children don't have money in the boarding schools, don't have food? Our priorities are wrong.
Good points
Our
made.
priorities are wrong.
Thank you, Irima.
Okay.
Thank you. Good day. Ali in Mombasa.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning,
Ali.
Morning, Ali.
How are you? It's a long time, but I've been listening.
Asante sana.
Haya, mimi nitazungumza leo Kiswahili kwa sababu nataka kusaidia yule mzee mwenzangu anaitwa City Muga apate msemo wa Kiswahili. Kwanza nitasema hivi, ikiwa hutaki kuulizwa maswali, usijiunge na chama ambacho kitakuuliza wewe maswali. Jambo la pili nasema hivi, mteka maji kwa kikapu kujaza birika mbovu. Mteka maji kwa kikapu kujaza birika mbovu. Itajaa hiyo birika?
Kamwe.
Hayo ndio yangu, wacha niwasikize vile mtanitathmini.
Asante Ali. Zachary.
Oh, good morning, people.
Good morning.
You can hear me clearly. I bought a phone.
Yes, we can, Zachary.
You have a new phone.
Am I up here?
Yeah,
I got a new phone, and everybody should know that. Now I've got 3. Yeah. And I travel with them wherever I travel, yeah?
Very good.
Just like Porter's travels with the 2 beasts. Now, actually, I'm happy, and we are celebrating. People are preparing to go to harvest their foods, as I told you. And I'm saying this. I want to say this very quickly, yeah? The Western people want to make us believe, that is Africans, believe that the Europe and America are at the heaven on earth, yeah? But then I ask myself, or I've been asking people, do you ask these people their history? They say they are rich, and they can come and dictate to us, okay, put this pot here, put that birika there, put that spoon there, so that I give you money. I mean, do we actually question their history? These people have come from very, very, very difficult backgrounds, yeah? If people can be told, during the American Depression, and even what during the Prohibition period, just like what is happening right now, these people used to live in squalor, they used to live in poverty. And they want us to believe that without them, we cannot exist. And I give an example. A random journalist went to the streets in the streets of New York and asked just randomly people, what do you think about Africa and how do they behave and how they live? Somebody said that, and I think I have related this story to you again. He has got a vision of Africa where people are very hungry, they are in tatters, they have got their eyes to cover. You know that whatever comes from the eyes of the very poor people and the malnourished people, yeah? He said most of them said, oh, Africa is a jungle where everyone is hungry and looking for food and, begging. Let me say this. Africa needs a person like Mr. Ruto.
Okay.
Actually, I'm grown to like what he's speaking. He's telling these guys the truth. And let me say this, Mr. Eric, and I know many people will not like what I'm going to conclude here. We are going to start by what Mr. Ruto is saying. That if we want to our dignity back, we must start living from our pockets.
Raising our own taxes.
And these guys actually are paying a lot of. They made their wealth through imposing taxes on their citizens, but they went outside and told people, without paying taxes, we do not have our dignity.
Okay.
So if we must go behind our president, okay, for about 2 years or 3 years, the way he said
Sawa Zakari.
for both of, thank you, and have a nice day.
You too. John in Nyandarua, hello.
Yes, how are you guys? For a long time.
Fine, thank you, John.
Well, John.
Yes, how's everybody?
We are well, thank you, sir.
How are you?
Okay, very fine. Thank you very much for that debate. It's a nice one. I have actually not ever agreed with the president, but I agree with him on this one. Because as far as we are concerned, we should not very much rely on foreign aid, on the from the Bretton Woods, because when the Bretton Woods was designed, regarding designed aid for Africa, it was a system designed to recolonize Africa by making Africa a slave of the Western countries. And indeed, we are slave of those countries. This is because many of us cannot now repay the debts that were advanced to us by the Bretton Woods. And unless we move from this problem, Africa will never develop. We have a lot of resources in Africa, resources that can maintain our economic prosperity, infrastructure and everything, but the problem is that our policies or systems are not right. We have governments which have never put policies right. And Kenya is an example of why we have long policies. For example, now we are shouting day in, day out that we have a very big debt. But the policies we are adapting are not right to meet the repayment of that debt. We are overtaxing our people instead of creating, systems that would create investments and employment in order to get a bigger tax bracket.
Okay.
Now we are taxing people who have nothing.
We hear you, John.
And at the end of the day,
let's conclude it there. Let's conclude it there so I can pick two more calls.
Okay.
Good day, Milani, Nairobi. Hello.
Hello, Eric. Hello, City, and okay.
Hello. And Ndu.
Ndu, yeah. Okay. For my 2 cents, a lot have been said, but I just want to point out that from what President Ruto said yesterday, and I refer back to what he said during when he was campaigning, that Kenya don't need debt relief and all that. We can manage ourselves, our debt, yeah. But right now, he's talking about debt relief and grace period, right? That means he has made the elephant in the room. Okay, but I have a problem with this discussion because one, I remember African leaders given debt relief some time back, and it narrows down to wastage and all these other corruptions that someone had mentioned earlier. So if we at least cut down on this, wastage of hours, then we can begin to have a healthy discussion about debt relief.
Okay.
And maybe even we don't need to, because we may manage our debts before we get to that conversation, right?
We hear
and
you.
On the last point, Africa just wants to be on the conversation. Right now, there's a lot of things happening on the geopolitical stage, and money is at the center of it all. So I think what the president is trying to, is kind of messaging to the financial world is that this time round, Africa just wants to be involved, not like all these other times before. Yeah.
Thank you, Milan. Jamatia in USA, in about a minute as we conclude. Hello.
Hello, Spice FM.
Hello.
This is Chematia from the United States. And I would like to contribute a few things about my country, Kenya. The first thing I wanted to say, I love your program, Spice FM. I like these debates. I really appreciate that you bring this
Thank you, Chamatia. Just to cut you short, we are coming to the end of the show, so in about 40 seconds, your contribution.
Okay, my contribution is, before we talk about what's going on in France and praising Kenyan politicians, we need to start by basics, bread and butter issues. How about we feed Kenya? How about we stop the corruption? How about we stop borrowing? If we want respect, we have to earn respect. You cannot go around the world borrowing and then you think you can be a spokesman for the world. You cannot be a spokesman for the world when you cannot even feed your own people. How about all these people that have jets all over Kenya and Range Rovers? Where are they getting the money? We need to have accountability in our country, and we need to stop being cowards. Now, I'm challenging the men in Kenya. You need to wake up, men and women, and stop praising these political thieves. We need to condemn them, and we need to call them out for what they are if we want to save our country. So
Thank you, Chamatia. Thank you very much. And thank you for all the contributions and all the calls this morning. Time has just flown like that. Have a lovely weekend. We'll be back on Monday, God willing, 10 a.m. Time for the news.
Your life.
The Labour Court has suspended the decision made by IG Japheth Koome to promote 514 police officers pending the hearing of the case challenging the procedure. In the case, Senator Okoh Mtata and activist Michael Otieno challenged the promotions made by Koome, arguing that they are illegal. In his ruling, Justice Byron Mongaya further stated the implementation of the memo by Koome prohibiting police officers from applying to fill the 514 vacancies as already advertised in the press by the National Police Service Commission. The court has also ordered the National Police Service to immediately convene a meeting of all parties in the case to amicably consider resolving the dispute. The case will be mentioned on Thursday next week. The fate of embattled Siaya Deputy Governor William Oduor is set to be made by the Senate committee if the committee finds the